Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Great Grandpa BB, and I'm here with Sarah and Allison, and we're at the For Their Future. We're in a little space uptown in Norwalk, Ohio, where you guys distribute a lot of soaps and upcycle a lot of jars, mason jars, and a lot more different containers. I've brought you guys a lot of different types. Yeah, I like it. I like the entire concept. I
appreciate that for sure.
For sure. What I guess got you into doing this For Their Future? I assume there is someone.
Our kids.
Yeah.
We so the whole thing got started kind of off of Sarah and I. We tend to take walks to get a break from those lovely kids. And
fair
so
it started like really when COVID kind of hit, you know.
Okay.
I mean, right?
More on a regular basis, because it was the only way we could get together.
Yeah, it's like you got to get out of the house. Yeah, let's go take a walk.
That's when this podcast hit too.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of things. It's always been a topic that we talk about, like
that we've shared,
taking care of, like nature, the future, like and trash and just
recycling and plastic and
that.
just all of it. You know, we've kind of like, and it just kind of like we got to do something. Like we started saying that, like, what can we do?
Yeah.
You know, and we did that for months and was just like tossing things back. We thought about doing a podcast. You know, Two Anxious Moms.
I think that was the name of it.
That was the name of it.
You know, that was a high point of like anxiety for us too.
Yes. And just thinking about our kids, like, oh my God. What's going to happen to them, you know?
Yeah.
Are they going to wake up one day and be surrounded by trash and plastic?
Right.
Well, and I'm on social media, she's not. So I found, like on Instagram and things like that, there was a lot of, I just kind of Googled or came across like refill shops. I was like, what the hell is that, you know? And so many of them were in the UK and Canada. When I first started looking, like you could find tons around the UK.
I've never really heard of anything like it around here. In a manner of speaking, like maybe I buy like a cup at the gas station and refill it with coffee or something.
Right. But an actual refill shop.
But even over the last 2 years, it's grown all over the U.S. So it was one of those like, gosh, could we do it here? You know, and then.
Yeah,
how receptive would people be here? And then at a certain point, it's like, you know what? We got to do something.
We got to
try. We might as well try it and see what happens. And we went as low risk as possible.
I mean, with the farmers markets and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and that was how we
You don't
started.
have to pay rent or anything like that.
Right, just the
low
fee,
overhead.
the vendor's fee, you know what I mean? So, and then we did like a business class online. What was that, through the state of Ohio? That was pretty cool. It kind of like just helps small businesses and what you need. I mean, we actually pretty much had everything figured out, but just like for people who don't know that it's out there, it was actually really cool.
That's cool though. I mean, it gets you kind of like ducks in a row kind of ideas, you know?
Yeah,
like,
because you have these ideas, but like you actually have to have like things in place to make it happen.
And
definitely.
there were other small business people involved, so it was nice to kind of, you know, share ideas or, you know, I was looking at this website or I got this information. You know, there was that was really helpful too.
Huh. Starting businesses is always, tumultuous, I guess, right?
It wasn't that bad though, was it?
Not really.
I don't know. It was like, you know, putting our money in was like that was like the hardest part. I mean,
apparently I never told my husband that I put money in. He still holds it over my head.
I mean,
kind of a gamble,
he's fine with
right?
that. You know, so that was like, but it's like, you know what? At this point, like,
it paid off, right?
Yeah, and we have to do something. Like, like if this is where we start, I mean, we just want to keep growing though. Like as far as like what we want to do for, you know, the future, for our kids, for the community, for humans.
Right.
You know?
Big picture stuff.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of things that need to be done. Like, I just, you know, speaking big picture wise, I sometimes hear the argument about jobs and about how automation things are happening, right? And then the inevitable next question is like, well, what is everybody going to do? And it's like, well, I feel like there's a lot of things that we need to do, you know? Like, there are a lot of jobs that, like, even if we automated all the jobs we have right now, there would still be more than enough things to do.
Well, and there's a whole, like, I love economics.
Yeah.
And just the whole idea of, like, okay, there's less jobs.
Yeah.
So there's less money.
Right.
So we buy less.
Okay.
So eventually we produce less. So we don't need as many jobs. Like,
That's true,
it works
too.
as a circle.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need as much stuff.
Mm-mm.
So if that's what it takes for us to stop consuming so much, we'd be fine. I mean, it would eventually
work
level out.
It would. You're right.
It's just people, I was just reading, and I saved it on my phone. I'm going to have to grab it. Because it was an economist talking about kind of that exact thing about, well, when all the jobs are gone, what are we going to do? Because we based our economy on consumption.
Okay.
And
yeah, exactly. We're consumerism.
Not the way the
It's
future
like,
is going to, we can't.
Yeah.
That's why, people come in and they're like, oh, well, I still have some at home to use up. Great.
Use it.
Come back later because there's no point in wasting what you have at home. People who talk about, I want to get rid of all the plastic in my house.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when it breaks, get rid of it.
Right.
Because it doesn't do you any good, any good to just throw it all away.
Right. Exactly.
No.
And if you have like plastic bags, use them until you can't, and then recycle them.
Right.
Because that helps overall. The more usage you get, the more bang you get out of your proverbial carbon footprint.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. For sure. You can take in like your bread bags, Ziploc bags, clean, all that kind of stuff, like, your Walmart bags. You can take them to Walmart and they recycle them. Did you know that?
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, see, like, there's so many ways that like, we can do this kind of stuff. It's just not, like, out there. Like, it's not common knowledge.
No.
You know what I mean? And, like batteries, for instance, like you can take those to Interstate. You can take those to Interstate Battery in Sandusky. That's the closest place I know to take them that they recycle them.
Okay.
Mind you, I don't know what they do with them after. It just makes me feel good knowing that I'm taking them instead of taking them to the trash.
And some of those minerals, like lithium and otherwise, you can recycle them and they can become new batteries again.
Right. And is there copper in batteries? If I'm correct?
Some of them, right?
Some of them.
know. Yeah.
There's a lot of different types of alkalines and mixtures.
Yeah.
It's a black magic. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. But like with the bags, like I didn't discover that until that was probably over a year ago. But like now, instead of use them as like trash liners and that kind of stuff. I mean, I try not to. Yeah. Like we take up. Allison's really got me like better on remembering to take my reusable bags. I have them in the car all the time.
Yeah.
But like for those, like you can get a whole bag of them and then take them and recycle them at Walmart. I think they do it at Lowe's. I think they do it
at... if you have pickup. So like I'm a Walmart pickup person.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
But
yep.
I've had a bag of them in the back of my car.
Yeah,
and the pickup people have taken them in.
Oh, nice.
I think I have at least two big garbage bags full of plastic bags to give back to Walmart. I just haven't done it.
Right. See, I think one of my main goals and one of like ours, like we want to find out what happens to our recyclables.
Right.
Because the city of Norwalk does pick them up, but beyond that, I'm not sure what happens to them.
Yeah, it's hard. It's we have to be responsible at an individual level on all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do. And I think that's one of the ideas I think that you guys are kind of putting across is that you're doing part of the work for the people already, and that helps as far as like you're taking responsibility for other people in certain ways when it comes to like this recycling idea, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you're answering people's questions about upcycling a lot of different things. Just like being here as a business, people have questions about this stuff for you. Like, oh, can I do this? And they're like, yeah, and you can also do this. And they're like, oh, okay,
right,
people
will walk in and be like, so what is this? What are we doing here? And then we tell them, well, you can bring your own containers. So we have containers here. We always have like a a big bin of containers that we keep and clean, and they're ready to go to be reused. And
so many too. Like, I actually finally had to tell my mom, stop.
Yeah.
We have enough for now.
I know.
Because you think about all the ones that you collect and you can reuse them all.
Yeah.
But our only option is to throw them away or recycle them, So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like I never really thought about it as taking responsibility, but I think we are, because we are taking on the responsibility of like educating people,
That's,
or at least putting it in their mind.
Yes.
Like, maybe you should think about that, how much plastic you do consume on a regular basis. And not just plastic. I mean, when you think about, like, paper plates, utensils, all that kind of stuff.
Anything that's not reusable.
Yeah, these one-use products that have been around since, the 70s? I mean, basically that's when it kind of exploded with the, disposable lifestyle that we live.
Right, right.
Lots
of planned obsolescence and just our manufacturing in general.
Planned obsolescence is the vein of, I hate it.
Yeah.
When I heard that was actually a term.
I know.
It just makes me mad.
What does that mean?
For sure.
It means, so think about, Microsoft, when they decide they're no longer going to support this operating system.
Right.
Or they're, your computer all of a sudden, or your phone, all of a sudden after a year, your battery doesn't charge as well.
Right.
Things aren't made to last long because they need to go away, so you buy a new one.
So you buy more faster.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Even refrigerators, if they put in a cheaper motor and it goes out after 7 years instead of lasting 50 years.
50, right.
Because I know people who have refrigerators from the 50s that are still right.
My washer and dryer from 1984.
Wow.
So. Yeah. They work. And
for sure.
You could probably fix those things forever.
Yeah, definitely.
And right now we only have one person in town who repairs appliances.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Green Goose. Shout out to Green Goose. Brandon is awesome. But he's literally the only one in town, and he always has at least a 2-week waiting time.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs their appliances fixed, and they they try and you want to keep it going because the new stuff isn't as good.
Yeah. And it's not cheap either.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, think about how many huge microwaves. Who recycles a microwave?
Right.
But how long does a microwave last? 10 years maybe?
Right.
Maybe.
We had one. I don't know what we ended up doing with it. I think we put it out for the big trash thing, because what do you do with a microwave?
Right, or a dishwasher, Mm-hmm. I mean, coffee pots or coffee makers, that kind of stuff, I mean, it's just not made to last. And it's who do we hold accountable for that, though? The manufacturers, of course, but how do we get to that?
Well, it's kind of like the baseline rules of the system that we're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, I wasn't going to say the word, but there it is. It's how do we sell the most thing that we possibly can to make the most money?
And make it for the most, or on the cheapest way, yeah.
But it wasn't always that way. That's the thing that I think we forget. We blame capitalism for what's happening. But, in the 50s, it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
We were still manufacturing things.
Yeah.
But, I think I can't remember what company it was. It was just on the news, but they were talking about how the the CEO makes 300 plus times more than the line employee does in that company. That used to be 2 to 1.
Exactly.
And that sounds crazy to people to even think it was that way.
Yeah.
But managers only used to make double of what the employees below them made.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've changed it. And in my mind, and I think there's research about this too, so much of it has to do with the stock market.
Oh,
and because
definitely.
every company's public now. My dad went through Domino's turning public, because that was what we grew up with, Domino's, him as a franchisee.
Yeah.
That company changed drastically when they went public.
Yeah. Yeah.
The family feel of it went away.
Yeah.
Same store sales became more important. You have to report this, you have to report that. And it changes the way we do business.
It does.
And then we've taken it to mortgages, car loans, everything like that, student loans. All of that now is part of the investment community, and that changes the way that they are used, the way people treat all that. And so yes, it's capitalism, but it has so much to do with the stock market, and then what we've created.
It's like a predatory kind of mindset where people, it's hostile takeovers of these businesses. They used to be family businesses.
Right.
They used to be owned and used to be able to fail, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Ford was run by the Ford family for a long time. And then now it's just run by CEOs and stock board members who just try to gut every, penny out of it that they can. And that's standard practice now.
Right. It is for across the board. I mean,
exactly. If you're not doing that, then what are you doing? How are you even keeping up in the marketplace?
Well, yeah, because your numbers aren't going to look right.
Yes.
You know, which I don't know.
And then there's, I mean, this doesn't play in it as much, but it it hurts in a weird way where, like, the stocks are traded not even by people. Like, the stock market floor, there's no people on the floor
not
anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's all done by algorithms and AI, you know.
They're all models. So that's why you can game the system so much, though, is because, you know, like, I used to work in investments for an insurance company. So, you know, it's like, we had this model, and if the market went to here, I knew when I had to trade. And I called this guy, and he worked with somebody who was on a computer probably somewhere and made the trade.
Exactly.
And everybody is like that. So if it goes 5% this way, you know this X is going to happen. And so, or if it's something's in the S&P 500 or it's in the Dow Jones, you have to, I have to have this much to mark the index. All that, like, so much is happening that has nothing to do with
the actual.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's becoming meaningless in a lot of ways, because then it's like, well, if this hits this number and I have to buy or sell or whatever, like, how can I manipulate it to do that then, right? Who do I get to go on TV to say a thing, right?
Well, and that's what it is. That's what so much of it is, just speculation of what it's going to do. And I think the biggest symbol that it's a joke is the fact that we've gone through, a mass pandemic, and it's only gone up.
I mean, come on. For sure.
Like, my kids' IRA has made 20% in the last year. Really?
Yeah.
When people couldn't travel, we had to stay home.
It's like,
a lot of places had to stay home, you know? It's just crazy.
Yeah, that and just inflation, and I don't know, like, everyone's money is, like, slowly eroding away at the same time, and that hurts, and it's like, I don't know, it's a weird quagmire of a situation that I don't know what the conclusion of it is, you know?
No,
like,
but what do we do? Like, who do we hold accountable?
Well, and it's going to be painful. And
why painful?
I mean, because prices are going to go up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they already have.
Right. But I mean, so it's going to be painful for people. But it's not going to be painful to people who make decisions, which is why nothing happens. You know, it's very frustrating, and I'm not trying to get political, but because I don't want
is
to.
In its own way, right?
But, like,
we're people dealing with people.
We didn't have to, like, it was very easy to pass tax cuts. But it's been very challenging to pass things that actually help the people who need it. You know, I don't understand that.
I don't understand that either. It doesn't make sense.
Especially when it involves kids. I don't understand what we have. It's like, oh, well, money for kids. Well, then the parents are automatically going to misuse it or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So then we have to drug test the parents, or
like
whatever.
Whatever.
There's stipulations.
Like that. The people need help.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
So I don't get it.
And I think a lot of it is like a lot of people becoming aware of it for the first time too. It's like when you have an entire population who just, like, doesn't think about it for, like, 30 years, you know, and then just all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, how did we get here? You know, and, like, wait a minute, no one's even thought about this for a long time, and in a mass consciousness kind of a way, you know, like you'll have your economics teacher writing books about it, you know, on campus, but, like, how many people are reading that book, you know, 20 years ago? Right. Yeah. Like, it was like Al Gore ran and then he lost, and we're like, well, I guess environmentalism doesn't exist.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. But we have what's his name? David Attenborough. Have you watched any of the
that sounds really familiar.
Like the our Blue Planet,
all the BBC shows.
Yeah.
They've been on Netflix. Oh, he's amazing.
I did see a couple of them.
I saw it was like a picture of, like, a what's it called? Like somebody picketing, or you know. And it said something like, David, you're pissing off David Attenborough. He's too old for this shit.
I've seen that one.
Nice.
Yeah, but he's amazing. Like, he's what, 94?
95.
Wow.
95?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and he's, like, spot on, like, with it. I mean, just an amazing guy. But, I mean, he's actually seen the degradation of the planet. Like,
right. I mean, he probably was alive
it.
when there was horses on the road.
Oh my God. And like he's been like literally all over the world, like filming, just everything since the 1950s. Mm-hmm. So he's seen like the populations of these animals,
Oh yeah.
becoming
endangered,
for sure. Becoming extinct, and he's seeing these, indigenous, people that are like affected by the outside world. They used to have this closed loop economy where they were like self-sufficient and like totally fine, but then we have culture that comes in and messes with it, and it's like, why did we do that? Leave them alone.
They have to modernize in their own ways to kind of deal with.
Yeah, but did they need to? I mean, they only needed to because of
to deal with pollution and everything else that's tearing apart.
But that's not their fault, and that's what makes me sad.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because that completely changes their way of life, and it does seem more innocent in ways, and it like there's a lot of thoughts about what like our culture used to be, and like what sustainability was just how people lived because they were part of the ecosystem.
Right.
Right.
And now we're the top dogs and we're taking it too far.
Yeah. And sustainability actually means is like we've gone too far, and we need to like actually look at what we're doing because we're so big now too, and we're using so many resources, so much electricity, so much water, all the way across the board.
You gotta watch that David Attenborough. I mean, he like, I mean, like I'm serious. This last one I watched was I forget what, I don't know if it was Blue Planet. It was something called, I think it was just Our Planet. But I mean, he brings up the year and the amount of carbon output and the amount of humans, and it's like how much
last one
deforestation has taken place.
There's a lot.
Yes, and
sure.
That's like, I mean, we're fucking up too many ecosystems.
Yes.
Too many small ones.
Agreed.
And these small ones matter because they will eventually they'll get to us, and they already have.
What's amazing is if we just leave it alone.
Right.
Oh, I know. The Earth is going to be fine.
How resilient nature is. I mean,
it's humans that are gonna. We're doing this to ourselves. We're not messing with the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, we are, but in the end, the Earth will be fine.
Yeah.
The Earth will be completely fine.
Yeah. The practices that we've employed for the last 100 years, right, worked really well when they were working.
Yeah.
100 years ago, the population wasn't even half what it is now. There was probably only 2 billion people on the planet at that point, right?
Right.
That's an entirely different type of planet. That's an entirely different type. And just the evolution of all of it, I mean, it's all taken its cycles in so many different routes and different avenues. We need to find the best solution for everything that we're doing all at the same time, and everyone is scared because that's like basically asking everyone to change their way of life.
It is,
essentially,
and people are really and that's the thing. People are. You think about everything that's happened with COVID. People do want to get back to normal. That's their biggest thing. I want to get back to normal, and
I don't want to get back to normal. I don't, because we need to change something.
Yeah.
My biggest thing with Bill Gates is he thinks technology is just going to...
Yeah.
We're just going to technology our way
into
take care of a clean planet.
Yeah.
There's no way that will happen without people changing.
Right.
Like, and the fact that is becoming a bigger voice means we're guaranteed to fail. Because we can't just create all these things that are just going to pick all that carbon out of the air.
Yeah.
Right.
It won't work.
Yeah. No, we have to make conscious decisions. And this is the thing that, like, I try to tell people that come in here and maybe are overwhelmed or don't know what to do or whatever. It's like, just do one thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, like instead of getting a water bottle, plastic water bottles, use a reusable water bottle.
Yeah,
like, if that's the only thing you do, you're doing great.
Yeah, I know.
Get on there.
It's hard to get away from it, and like,
it is. It's so convenient,
Yeah, I know, because we're a convenient sort of race,
Yeah, whatever's easier, path of least resistance, right?
Yep, exactly.
But so I don't know, getting to like just conservation wise, right? Like, I was watching a thing yesterday about building passive houses.
Oh, I so want one of those.
Right.
Wait, passive house?
Yes.
What?
It's like using...
What's the definition of it? It's
not a tiny house,
it's
right?
It's building a house that uses the sun as best as you build it. You build a house with really thick insulation so that you don't have a lot of heat loss or cooling loss kind of idea.
Right.
And then you even insulate underneath the floor, and then you position the house towards the sun.
Yeah.
So that during the summertime, when it's going across, it's going right in your windows and actually heating the floor that's made out of like concrete.
Yeah.
That's like built to like absorb the heat so that it stays hot all night. And that helps with just heating the house at night.
Right.
And then other things like on the ecological side, like just planting deciduous trees around your house to shade it during the summertime, and then the leaves fall off, and then the sun hits the house more in the wintertime.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's amazing.
Just simple kind of ideas like on an architectural basis, the way that you're like placing your house in nature, and then just the way the overhangs run and the roofs,
you can conserve water. Yeah, and they're usually not made on, or they're not built on site. Like they're built somewhere, like a prefab version, and then they bring like the ones I've seen.
Yeah, where have you seen them? Like any around here?
No.
I
mean, I think there's some. Like there's a lot of prefab, and they are much more eco-friendly. There's so much less waste when they do it that way. But we watch like every home show, and a lot of them are in Britain, and they're getting like they're doing the newest thing here, and they're getting it from somewhere in Eastern Europe, or in Germany they're getting the house built there and sent over to the UK to build. There was one who they had a son who had like had a lot of allergies and all these, and it was always in the hospital, and they had to do all these special filtration systems, but they also, was interesting, went with a lot of secondhand furniture because the
VOCs, volatile organic compounds
of new stuff is so bad that if they bought secondhand, it was actually better for their son.
Wow. That's interesting.
So, or in getting rid of a lot of no carpets, any of that kind of stuff, but stuff I never would have thought of.
No, see, that's really cool. I really like that.
There's so many amazing technologies coming out like that to make things so you're just your footprint's less, and it's basically
not even technology, it's just technique. It's it's like a method of building. I know like half of the energy you use in your house is from heating and cooling, so any way that we can knock that down, there's a lot of like geothermal like systems that you can put like underground that stays 50 to 60 degrees all year round, and can like help heat and cool like passively like that way too.
I'd love solar panels. They're just so expensive. Yeah, they're expensive right now.
I never believe the advertisements that say you can get them for like $0
I see them all the time.
down. I do know somebody that did that in Massachusetts though.
Leasing them.
Yeah. But I don't know. It makes me nervous.
I just wish they would make them more affordable. Like Teslas for instance. I'd love to have an electric car.
Yeah,
I can't afford one.
But that's not
Tesla
their business
expensive.
model. Right. His explicit, he was reading the
article. He's building luxury cars.
He wants to start, he's building expensive ones, so eventually he can build the cheap ones.
Yeah. Right, but that's the thing though. It's like we need it to be more widespread in order for it to have an impact.
But he was also starting from nobody has an electric car
to now everybody's on the bandwagon.
People know about it now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Now we're at least having the conversation.
Right. Well, the big three are making electric cars, which they were not on board with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And now they see that people want them.
The Chevy Bolt and the Chevy Volt, and there's like the Nissan Leaf. There's a Mitsubishi Ion.
Yes, but they're supposed to. Here's the thing I don't understand. Electric cars are supposed to be way more powerful than combustion engines.
Well, they have better acceleration.
Yeah. So why aren't they making big SUVs with electric engines? Because in reality, I need at least a minivan. If not bigger. Yeah. So what is there aren't very many electric options. No. I can't have I want a tiny car.
Right. Yeah. Not
my
right
trade-off is I need a bigger car.
Yeah.
And then I won't use it as much.
Right.
We'll walk or ride our bikes more. We try to more, and I use the car when I have to. But it has to be big enough.
Well, there's trade-offs there too. The bigger you make a vehicle, the more weight it is, and then the more energy, and the more batteries, and then the more expensive.
True.
Right. Right. Battery technology is something that just I can't wrap my head around. I mean, it's amazing how small they make the batteries. I mean, just
it's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different, even like mechanical batteries that they could use. Like NASA, like if you send something to Mars, they're not using like a lithium ion battery.
Right.
They're using like a flywheel battery. It's basically just a spinning mechanism that like in a vacuum that like you
so
have,
it'll never stop.
well, it stopped.
I mean,
yeah, like you have motors on either side, so you can spin it faster. And then if you want to take energy out of it, you click on that motor, and that flywheel spins the motor and creates electricity again.
Okay.
So it's a battery. It's a storage system essentially.
How do you know that?
Uh,
you know, it's fascinating.
I know.
Yeah.
I forget where I learned that for the first time. I don't know. I mean, I grew up around electric cars.
Really?
In the 80s, I was in the garage and my dad's building an electric car, you know?
Really?
Like,
Does he drive one now?
Occasionally he'll get, you know, I don't know, for whatever he needs, you know?
Yeah.
But he still builds electric bikes and, you know, small vehicles and things like that.
You were talking about that on another podcast, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting stuff. I've always been around it, so it's always kind of been second nature in a way, right?
Yeah.
Can he build me a cargo bike? Can he? Seriously.
Does he sell them?
That's what he wants to do. That's like kind of his hobby right now. Yeah. He wants to turn it into a business and
definitely should.
Yeah.
We'll be his first customer.
He's teaching down at North Central State. He teaches like alternative fuels and robotics and different, you know, ideas like that.
That's
He's
really
a mechanical
cool.
engineer.
Awesome.
But he also works up at Humanetics in Huron doing a
where
crash
they do
test.
the
The
stuff.
crash test, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a well-rounded individual.
Yeah.
He's always very busy.
I'm sure, yeah. Sounds like it.
But I'm always coming to him with different ideas for energy. Yeah, I think about energy a lot, and we talk about, you know, just like how much energy could humans on bikes produce and things like that. You know.
Right.
Like I'm doing calculations like last week, you know, like I'm like, okay, if you like a human, according to this article, it says a human can produce about 100 watt hours per hour, essentially.
Wow.
That seems to be about the well-rounded number.
What pace though?
You know, like some people go a lot faster, some people go slower.
Okay, so on average.
On average, it's about 100 watts.
Okay.
And that's been the number for a long time, I guess. But I started figuring out, all right, so like what if like 1% of the United States population, you know, like pedaled bikes
Did you
for
see
2
Black
hours.
Mirror? Did you watch Black Mirror?
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, that one's
rough.
rough. Yeah.
I couldn't get past the first one.
Oh, yeah.
I can't watch
Yeah,
this.
they're all so different too.
They are all so different.
Yeah,
I loved that
and
series.
psychologically damaging.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But that's immediately what I thought that one was.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
That's their job.
Yeah,
That's
their
because human job. Yeah.
Like my over like it would take. I found out that it would take about 15% of the United States population to, if they're pedaling 2 hours a day, you know, to produce enough power for one coal plant. That's like an average coal power plant.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
And amazing.
Uh-huh.
Why couldn't everybody do that?
Right, exactly.
I don't have 2 hours to sit on a bike.
Well, no. But
and some people are disabled, and some people
so it's not
are
feasible.
not
But you said only
right.
15%.
Yes.
Only 15%. You could sign up to. I'd sign up to do that.
330 million people. That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but again, it's only 15% though. Like, it's not everybody.
I did the population of the whole world at 1%, and 1% of the whole world pedaling 2 hours a day is 8 coal power plants, essentially.
That is amazing.
Here's the question: how many are there that run right now?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
A lot.
There are a lot of people who do spinning classes too.
I know.
I
was on Peloton.
You know?
Like,
yeah, for sure.
Those,
for sure.
They could somehow work that out.
I know. Like, at least that's something. You know, that's something like proactive that I feel like I'm accomplishing something.
Right,
you know, and I'm getting healthier. I would be doing it
it's
anyway.
Good for
honestly.
People,
Yeah. I'm out on the bike doing 20 miles, you know, like every other day.
The whole thing might as well be counted for something.
It's never weird, like, they talk about the grid, and the grid here is a mess.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Isn't a big part of it in Texas or?
Well, it's like everything. It's a system that was like put together and then added on and added on and added on.
Yeah.
And so, all the solutions, like, great, solar power's fine, but Arizona always has all the power, and they need it in the Midwest or in the Northeast all winter. How do you do it?
Right.
All
we can
those
figure
things.
that out, though. I have faith that we could figure that out.
Well, we can trade them water.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, tip for tat.
Let's be honest.
Global economy.
They're not supposed to exist. There's no water there. Vegas shouldn't exist. None of that stuff should exist.
Yeah.
But, they're trading Lake Mead and whatever. But
it does because we have trains and semi-trucks,
Yeah.
Like, we can truck everything in just like we can. And, like, New York City shouldn't even really exist, or Chicago. At the size that those cities are and how many millions of people are in them, like, they can't exist without massive
things
transportation.
Coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but, I mean, we're so afraid to break systems and start over. I mean, we were talking about that with, it's off topic, but with John Schwartz with the CLI and the mental health system, and or not mental health, it's part of it, but like the services for the developmentally disabled population, all that, like, it's so fragmented, and nobody wants to fix it. They just want to throw something else on top of it, and that'll serve
this board for this committee for this,
The roof's leaking. Here's a bucket.
Basically, And we have a whole bunch of buckets, so you'll never run out of buckets.
Yep. Most of our jobs are just having buckets and trying to put them in the right spots.
Exactly.
It works still, It's like, but it takes a lot of extra to kind of keep it afloat.
Yeah, right. What do you know about desalinization of like ocean water? Do you have looked into that? Because we were talking about water.
Yeah.
I mean, the water supply we need to be, aware of. I don't know if we need to be worried about it. I mean, of course, I'm going to worry about it because I'm a worrier.
Yeah.
But, it's something that we need to talk about. That's for the future.
Yeah. There's reverse osmosis, and then there's those solar domes, right? Like, where they kind of like magnify the sun energy all day, and then like the water condenses and then falls down the side kind of idea,
right?
Which is great. It's just a matter of trying to get those to work at capacity,
Yeah, for sure.
And it's passive, because that's I think the biggest.
Yes.
Something that I struggle with is like everything. Okay, I have headphones. I don't want AirPods because you have to charge them. Right. And I don't want to be dependent on electricity and remembering to charge them. I just want to pick up my headphones and listen to what I need to. Like, I wanted a coffee grinder.
Yeah.
Great. I want a manual one. Yeah. Because I don't want to have to worry about and
it breaking.
So many things. I think there are manual non-electric options, and we need to maybe embrace more of those
for sure.
Because, like you said, energy is it's a commodity.
Definitely. And even to the point where, like, I'm grinding this coffee grinder, right? If I'm just pedaling this bike and then charging my phone with it, right?
You're doing good.
Right. Yeah. It's this exact same kind of idea. You're just spinning wheels and spinning generators, or
right.
Creating energy, motion.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you were talking about those houses, though, like with the insulation and stuff,
right?
I'd love it if they, like, you know how much plastic is in this world?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That like, what do we say? I wrote it down.
Yeah.
It's like 40%. What is it? 40%? No, more plastics have been made in the last 20 years than the whole second half of the 20th century.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's not stopping. In fact, it's accelerating.
Definitely.
The amount of plastics being made.
It's so cheap.
It is so cheap, but it's like, this stuff does not degrade. This stuff is ending up in the ocean.
They'll say, like, there was an article in the Atlantic about plastic and the history of it and all that. And, they were basically trying to use up their waste.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's like, so we're trying to use the waste, so it's, but
good idea.
Nobody wanted it, and then
they overdone. You can overdo things.
But 98 to 99% of plastic is made from fossil fuels. It's manufactured from fossil fuels. And it's like, okay, we need to do something else. We cannot keep making this stuff.
Yeah.
It will be in our environment. It already is ubiquitous. I mean, it is.
And there are solutions of that too. They're making plastic now out of mycelium fungus.
Like a group. Yeah. Okay.
And then also there is a way to break down plastic using certain types of bacteria.
Right, but what's the byproduct? That's
what is the byproduct?
What is the? I mean, I know, but is it
right?
like,
yeah. Like
but what is it?
enzymes of some kind.
Yeah. But since it was already made with a fossil fuel, is it
fossil fuel isn't organic?
Right.
I mean, organic chemistry is basically the study of hydrocarbons, where you have hydrogen and you have carbon. That's all coal, gasoline, plastic, everything.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Natural gas.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in that manner of speaking, it is organic. We've just chemically processed it to be in a certain formulation.
State, yeah.
But since there's so much of it, now that there's grown bacteria that actually naturally has started eating it, which we didn't predict would happen.
Right.
But we definitely need to encourage it at a greater rate.
Yeah.
And dump it in the ocean.
Yeah. Or, you know how many plastic states are in the ocean?
Yeah.
I mean, the size of Texas. I mean, I don't even know how big Texas is. I know it's big.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Definitely.
There's
a lot.
That is whether we see it in our daily lives, that has an effect on us, and it will.
It does, because the plastic is now just like water.
Yeah,
right.
it's
not evaporating, but it's being thrown out of the ocean and the waves and everything, and then just fluttering over to us, and we're inhaling.
Yeah,
it
there's microplastics in us right now.
Everywhere, yeah. You eat a credit card sized piece of plastic every week. Did you know that?
Every week?
Every week. Credit card size.
Oh, man. I feel
healthy. Isn't that nuts?
It's not just from breathing, though. You eat it in your food and everything else.
Right,
so.
right.
But there's a lady in Africa. My dad just, I've seen it before, but she makes plastic bricks out of plastic to build homes.
That's amazing.
But
that's
think
what
about
I say
it.
With the,
but it's toxic.
Well, yeah.
Because they're in it's I mean, I've been there. The sun beats down, which degrades the plastic, which causes it to leach, and it'll leach out all
that's
those
what
chemicals.
they're saying is happening in the oceans. I mean, it's not just the fact that it's everywhere, it's what's being released when heat gets to it.
Well, and the oceans are so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with like bottled water. If you leave bottled water in the sun,
you
the
can't
plastic,
do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
I'm putting it out there.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
In the summer,
I see people do that a lot.
Your car with plastic bottles.
Not a good idea. I don't
There's
let
like grocery stores that put it in front of their grocery store, and it's just like, why are you guys... Like, nobody knows what they're doing here.
The endocrine... Yeah, so let's talk about that. The endocrine disruption of microplastics.
Yeah.
I mean, did you know that the sperm count of men has been going down since the 1950s? And they're directly relating it to microplastics.
Yeah, I mean, like, all of our natural systems, like, we didn't grow up with that. We didn't evolve with that in the ecosystem.
No, I mean, technically we did, because we're like children of the 80s.
Well,
but you
our,
know what I mean?
species didn't evolve with that. Yeah. Like, we're not...
Children of the 80s,
This is a different... There's deep epochs of time. Like, we've been on this planet, right? We got used to it being that way, and it's not that way anymore.
Right.
That's why this is happening.
Right, exactly. And like the endocrine disruptors, I mean, think of all the, like... immune diseases that are out there now. You know, I mean, like the immunocompromised. I mean, lupus, connective tissue disease, just so many. I mean, that they're,
or just asthma.
Asthma. I mean, any of that stuff. I mean, just it's directly related to all of that.
Yeah. Pollution in the air and all of it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, we need hemp, right, to replace plastics.
Yeah.
And it's a great carbon sink as
well.
Why
aren't we, is the question,
As of 2020, legally, you're allowed to grow hemp in Ohio now.
Right.
But you have to have, like, a license. You have to, like...
And there's
why?
There's only
it's a
so
plant.
many.
Yeah, and then you have to send it in and make sure that it has under 0.2 like THC in it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, but if you have 0.3, they'll just burn your whole crop.
Okay.
It's like, okay,
you're done.
Yeah. It's like, there's no wiggle room on this.
No,
like,
seriously, that's that's a whole in story in and of itself when it comes to wow,
bureaucracies and just pointless.
People have to have the to be able to monopolize it.
Right.
That's the only reason why it's not widespread.
Yeah, I mean, like paper industry early on when they made it illegal to begin with, lobbied it against having hemp as well.
For what reason? What was the reason behind that?
They controlled the paper industry, and they knew that hemp made a better paper, essentially.
Right. God forbid.
Yeah.
Well, and we could save the trees.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And this is why all these oil and gas companies are holding on for dear life.
Yeah, for sure.
They will not lose their money.
No.
And people will not let them because they're.
But we're not going to get anywhere till we stop making everything
absolutely.
France just banned all fruits and vegetables in plastic containers.
I saw that.
There's no more plastic.
Why don't we do that?
Oh,
well,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's getting to, why does my kid's toy have to be wrapped in all these layers of plastic and tied in here and this and that? If it doesn't look perfect in the box, they're still going to take it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, put it in a paper bag. Yeah. For God's sake.
It's just if the biggest problem is. It's already out there. It's
is.
Already made.
Yeah.
So even if we stop now, how much is still just there?
So this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about Bill Gates and the idea that technology is going to be the only thing that saves us.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because in a large sense, it might be. The only way that we got here is through this long line of technological progress. Right? And the only way that we're going to be able to get out of it then, right?
Is the same way.
Yes.
I'm not saying that there
sense.
can't be, obviously technology has its part to play, but it's not going to be, okay, great, well, I'm putting this special gas in my private plane so I can still fly anywhere because I have the special gas.
Right.
It has to be on a human level, though. We have to make those
There still
decisions.
has to be lifestyle changes that happen.
Yeah, there's no silver bullet here.
No.
We built our entire economy off of one thing. It was like hydrocarbons, like gas, fossil fuel.
Fossil fuel,
that's what we did, That's the silver bullet of our entire economy. And now we have to break it into many different pieces.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really hard to do.
It is,
we're talking passive houses is going to cut our electric bill for heating and cooling in half, and that's really important part of the equation.
Yeah.
Or hydrogen is going to be a huge part of the equation too, because it's the most prevalent element in our universe.
Where does hydrogen fall though in the heating, as in the global war? Because I know methane and carbon, but where's hydrogen in all that?
Well, hydrogen is part of methane, and it's part, and it's like hydrocarbons, right?
Right. That's why I'm wondering
hydrogen, part
how good is
hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
Yeah, I know, right? What will that do as far as?
It burns clean. It burns
what do
so
you
that
mean by clean though? Like a negative?
All right. So the byproduct of it is water.
Okay.
When you burn hydrogen, because hydrogen really wants to bond with other elements. It's the simplest element in our universe. That's what uses.
Is it number one?
Yeah, it is number one.
Okay.
Yeah, has one proton, one electron, one neutron, whatever. Right?
Hydrogen's so sweet. It wants to bond with people.
It does, right? Yeah.
Except doesn't it explode really easily?
It does. Well, it's flammable, right?
Yeah. It's for hydrogen fuel cells in cars.
Yes. They do have, Toyota has a new hydrogen fuel cell car.
Oh.
Yeah, it's called the Mira, I think. But it just recently came out. Toyota doesn't want to build electric cars currently, even though they're the top producer of hybrid cars, right? Their stance on it is that we don't have the capacity in our power grid. If everyone was to switch over right now, it would be bad, basically.
Right.
We still need gasoline to switch over from, essentially.
You mean to make it a slower process,
We can't produce enough electricity. We just can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and
people
so
get pedaling.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we need peddlers. There's a new technology. I just found out about it last night, and I've looked around, and everyone's kind of is this real? Is it not real? But it's the solid state hydrogen. Okay. Solid state batteries is different.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Because I've heard of those.
But those are
Volkswagen. Are they the solid state battery?
Toyota came out with one last year.
Okay.
And they were the first ones to kind of go big with it, but everyone's working on a solid-state battery right now.
What does it look like?
It's basically, it just means that there's no like liquid electrolyte in the battery. Okay.
Wow.
Traditionally, there's always been this like kind of like liquid in a battery, but these ones are just like completely flat, and it's just like you just have layers of different chemicals kind of thing. You're just trying to pull electrons across the grid, essentially.
Okay, with no liquid component.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because you think about a car, you think you're always putting oil and fluid and that kind of stuff, you know?
Well, and that's one of the big things about electric cars in general, and hydrogen fuel cell cars. They both run off of motors, which means you have way less moving parts in the vehicle. In a combustion engine car, you have something like 400 something moving parts, or 900, I think. And then there's like only like 40 moving parts in an electric car.
Yeah.
And it's mostly just like the wheels and the bearings and things like that, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
My question is, when we do switch over to these electric or hydrogen vehicles, what are we going to do with the cars we have now? The
Scrap
gas.
them.
I know, but
make new stuff out of them.
I know that's what I
think.
That's going to have to happen.
It does.
And that means like all components, like you know,
even
steel,
the toxic
playastic, tires are a big thing. Yeah.
You can make shoes out of those.
Yes, or the playground, like they use them on the as a basis for like playgrounds and stuff. You know,
people make earthship bricks out of them. Have you heard of earth ships before?
No. What is it?
It's a different type of passive house design.
Oh, okay.
It's used a lot in like desert regions and things where like you build the whole back wall of your house with tires.
Someone did that.
Filled with dirt, right?
In like Ohio.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Homestead Rescue.
Okay.
I swear.
Wow.
There was somewhere where they had like 100,000 or 30,000, I don't know, some obscene amount of tires, and then they were filling them with like plastic and glass, or like plastic bottles and whatever they could find to fill the holes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what
it didn't work well.
We should be doing stuff with trash.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
plastics. You know, I mean, like you were talking about the insulation on those houses and stuff. Why aren't we filling the walls with like unusable plastic? I mean, I know, like you said, it's like. Once it hit, it leaches and stuff, but
might be
we have to find
some
a way.
materials work better than others.
Yeah.
Right? And so plastics, I mean, maybe, in some cases, I'm sure plastics would be better just to recycle right out, you know, and just to make more bottles out of later, because we're going to need bottles kind of idea.
Right.
But, I mean, they're coming up with a lot of different materials. I guess there's like a certain... I don't know. I forget what it was. I saw it last night. I was watching a lot of things last night. But apparently there's this like straw that you can use as insulation that like doesn't sound great because it's it sounds flammable.
Yeah.
But apparently you can just hold a torch to it for like hours and it won't burn.
That's nuts. Where's that?
I don't know what it's called. It's not asbestos though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. Definitely.
And it's kind of like that. It's the Japanese thing where you burn the wood. And if you burn, like you take a blowtorch to wood, and they've sided houses with it in places where there's forest fires and such, because it actually does protect the house from burning if you burn it already.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I never like thought about that before.
Yeah.
Why don't they do it? I mean, look at all the wildfires that are now in our
Exactly.
country. It's like, why aren't we using that?
Well, I mean, this is the Rainies from Alaska helping people with their homesteads.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a technique that's
any process that you do is going to cost more money.
Right.
And that's not what we do here.
Right.
Even thinking about passive houses, like, that would be amazing. Where would you put it?
Right.
Because this week, I was going to the rec and went down, was it Shouse or whatever, and then it turns into, I forget what the Ontario or something. Anyway,
Norwalk roadways here.
Sorry, but basically there's woods.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're cutting down the woods to build a duplex. Now the next one's for sale.
I know.
You see deer there all the time.
There are.
For sure.
There's always so much.
And so it just hit me in the face of like,
why
we're taking away that, like, right here is a good example of like taking out the habitat of something.
For sure.
Well,
that's why we have, like, I get deer. I live in town.
Yeah.
I get deer, I get skunks, I get raccoons.
Skunks
Yeah,
everywhere.
definitely. Yeah.
Groundhogs, and it's like, they don't really want to live by us, but they have to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and I, you know.
And there's food around here for them, too.
Right.
Like, they wouldn't be around here if there wasn't.
Because we've taken their food sources
we've taken
away.
That's true, too. Yeah.
You know, but I think, you know, what's better? Do you try and, like, better insulate and, you know, beef up the houses that we already have?
Right.
Or do you tear them down and start over?
Right.
Because, like,
it's hard.
And it's not so much...
In some cases,
cost,
yes. In some cases, no.
But also, like, the waste of it all. You know, because we're not good at salvaging.
You know how much it costs to, like, it costs so much to demo a house.
Yeah. And then building new ones is expensive. Mm-hmm. But how good can you seal it? How good can... Like, my house is 100 years old.
Can you justify it?
It needs all that. And we've tried to insulate and stuff, but still... goes right through.
Right.
So
it's like at what point?
What can you do can we really get it to a point where it would be a passive house? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really. I mean, like,
so
because the entire concept is kind of based off of where the sun is,
right,
and where the house is pointed.
Yeah.
So many of our houses are just directly with the road.
Yeah.
Just wherever the road is, that's where the house is facing.
Mine's facing south.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Luckily, but there's no trees anymore because we've cut them all down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You know.
So that'll warm up your house more.
Yes.
Essentially.
It does.
As long as the windows are facing that way, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Our front room gets very warm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, it's just like, could we ever get there? And I don't know. That's one of those big changeover things.
We are building a lot of houses all the time, though.
Yeah,
but we're not building them passively.
No.
We're building them cheap.
But you know, I've noticed that, like, my mom has always told us this, like, you know, when the sun's shining, of course, open the windows during the day so it heats up the house in winter and stuff, and you know, shut them in the summer but it's like a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
Like, and I've noticed that, like, when I get my statement from, like, Columbia Gas and that kind of stuff, they're actually including those little tidbits of information, which I think I really appreciate that. Like, I wish more companies, not that I love Columbia Gas or anything like that, but I just wish, like, more companies would, like, say, you know, give you those, like, ways to make a difference, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we don't teach those things. I don't see a lot of people just talking about it.
No, right.
Unless we have a microphone going on, you know, it's like, it's hard to have these conversations anyway, right?
Since you're an energy man,
yep.
Isn't there, and I've seen it somewhere, and I don't know what it's called, and this is going to be really bad, but, like, something about you can change something with your electricity so it only goes where it needs and doesn't, like, go everywhere. Does that make any sense? Like some type of smart thing that you can attach.
Where it shuts off where it's not needed.
Well, in Ireland, where my husband's from, every outlet has an on and off switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outlet.
Yeah.
So it's off.
So
no
I
electricity.
Think that's in London too, a show I've been watching, they always have to flip on
just the plug.
The plug itself, so it's not being like a phantom.
Wasting.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it had something about how electricity feeds into your house and that we're wasting a lot of electricity for it going to places that we're not using it. I don't know exactly. Have you heard of something like that, or does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like, if we have different things plugged in that we don't need,
that it's not,
and it's just kind of.
But this just wasn't unplugging it. It was like, I don't know.
Actually, like,
some way of better managing electricity throughout your house.
It sounds like a smartphone home type of thing.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Do you have that at your house? Is your house run by your phone or anything like that?
No, I have a couple light bulbs that I can, change the color on.
Really? Yeah, that's it.
I've seen those.
Yeah, I've not, like, my husband wants to get a Nest. You know,
oh right, yeah, for sure.
I don't really want to though, because you have to use it on your phone, and it's like, I don't know. It just seems
I know. Like the whole, like, Alexa listening in kind of idea. Not that they probably aren't anyway.
They are. I think they read my mind.
I finally embraced Alexa, but it's only because my kids can tell her what to play.
Oh, right.
And we hear anything else. Like, we were trying to figure out in their room how to put music on. So you either need something with a Bluetooth device.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I have to have a device and a Bluetooth speaker, and it has to be not being used for anything else when they want to use it.
And
I don't want them to have it.
Just get a radio.
Well, true. But, it really
is this new?
What's a radio?
What is this?
But
just
it
comes
also
from the air
gives
like
them
that,
so much information. Like, they podcasts. That's what they listen to all day long is podcasts.
Oh wow.
You know, so
I have not embraced Alexa. I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I know. I fought for a long time.
I got it for my grandma for a little while, and she used to talk to it and have some songs playing and things, you know. But it got old, and she didn't want to sound rude to it at times.
Oh, my kids are so rude. So you need to say please.
I'm rude to the one, like when you call anybody anymore, you always get like a computer to begin with, like especially for like pharmacy or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like representative, you know, pharmacist or whatever. It's like you want to go right through because I can't stand talking to a computer.
For sure.
Is that our future, Matt? Talking to computers.
I hope not. I mean, like, I don't.
Well, we don't like to talk to each other, you know? So we might as well.
There are. I mean, not to sound Black Mirror again or nothing, but like, there are like computers that talk almost like humans now.
Oh yeah, you can tell.
Even like a few years ago. Well. A few years ago, they did an experiment, right, where like the computer actually took breath marks like on purpose, and like the people didn't know.
That's creepy.
You
that
know,
is very creepy.
Yeah, and so that did creep out a lot of people, like because they couldn't even tell. They were told later that they were part of this experiment or whatever to see if they could tell if it was a human or not, and so. People weren't cool with that, so they went back and tried to make it sound more robotic. So now the things that we have sound robotic on purpose because we can actually make them sound like humans, but we're not because people aren't cool with that yet, you know?
Right.
So in the future, it might be, right, like that we'll be talking to, like, they might just tell everyone that we have humans on the line or whatever. Yeah. But it's just like...
It's just going to keep lying to
It actually
us.
Just is a robot, right? Like, that's completely possible.
See, now I saw iRobot, and I really liked the robot, so I mean, maybe I would be okay with
that. I don't know if I saw that one or not.
No? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, and that's in like the general purpose, like humanoid type of robot, like the quintessential robot, right?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I don't know. I
want Rosie from the Jetsons.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. She cleans and cooks.
She makes a lot of cool noises all the time. It's like lots of jingles and jangles.
Yeah. That's all I need.
As soon as you say her name, it happened like in my head, like I could hear her like coming around with it. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, back to the whole like solid state hydrogen thing. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like this idea really intrigued me because I mean obviously it's like nobody knows what to think about it yet. You know, I watched the first video and like all the comments were like, this is physics. You know, this is not real. There's no way this is possible and all this. And I'm just like, okay, like I can kind of see some discrepancies here. And then so I started looking into it deeper, you know, found the company because they had all this big story about how like the government banned their technology for 20 years or whatever. And like, which I think is true. Because it's like this is like a disruptive technology, right? It basically, the way they described it, the last guy that I saw described it the best, where he said that they take like a cassette tape, okay, and the actual tape, like the film tape kind of idea, and then they somehow put it in like smokestacks with like tons of like soot and things coming out of it, like where we're burning, you know, coal or whatever. And like it's like made out of this like magnesium like hydrogen things, and so when it I don't know how this part works at all, but somehow it absorbs all of the, you know, smokestack and like that basically makes it possible for the hydrogen on the strip, when it gets hit by light later on, right, it loads it or something, and then like later you put that cassette tape like in your car to like power it, okay?
That's nuts.
And then you hit it with light and the hydrogen is released from it. It's like light sensitive film.
And that's kind of like the combustion part, or?
Well, no, that's just the part where you're getting the hydrogen. Like, the cool part about it is that it's a storage method, basically. Oh,
so that's what they're trying. Okay.
Yes. So it's like solid state hydrogen, on these like little cassette things. You have to have a lot of them, obviously, to run a whole vehicle off of. But you
How
run
many
it.
Are you talking?
Quite. I don't like. It doesn't look like a regular cassette tape player, right? Like I don't know how to exactly describe it or what the technology is going to be once it's
eventually
all done and completed. But because they had a couple different versions of it, the way that it looked, but like so you need a lot of these like discs or a lot of these films basically, and so you're creating a lot of hydrogen and it's going through and you're mixing it with water, and that's part of the process too, so that part of the hydrogen from the water they're using as well, which is interesting. Cool. So you might need like some people don't know, like it's mysterious still. Like it's like, well, are they calculating in the hydrogen from the water or just from the film, or so there's a lot, like it seems possible.
But what about what gets left behind? So like when you say it like soot and such from a smokestack.
Yeah.
So the hydrogen goes away from that, but what about the things it was attached to?
I
mean?
Yeah. Because that's not part of the the equation that they were showing. Like how this worked is you had like this magnesium, hydrogen, and you had H2O. Essentially, it was the only parts of this stoichiometric chemistry equation where you have the same things on both sides. And one part was hydrogen, the other part was like magnesium, whatever, right? And they use magnesium, I guess, because it was part of photosynthesis process, which makes it light sensitive, right? And like the people talking about it don't know either. Like there's a lot of questions about it, and there's like a whole subreddit I found, where they're like, is this real? Is this not real? But if it is, like it feels like it could disrupt like a lot of things, because basically all you're doing at that point is you're running it into a fuel cell, and then it just runs like a normal hydrogen fuel cell. It's just a way of storing it, so you're not storing like gas in a huge steel tank in your car.
That's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
I still go back to hydrogen blowing up.
Yeah. Exactly. Whereas when it's in its solid state, it's not flammable, apparently, is what they're saying.
That I could get on board
really
with.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye on that, see where it goes.
I just feel like hydrogen in cars and the way that we drive, just explosions left and right.
Well, I mean, they'll have to fix those bugs before they
slight adjustment. You gotta turn a couple wrenches, like it's really brass tacks when it comes down to it. Just not so many explosions and we'll be okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
We'll just be able to get down the road like we normally do.
I mean, the regular cars can blow up.
Yeah.
Regular cars.
Yeah. Yes. You were talking about like solid state. In that one article I was just reading, it said that plastic is climate change in its solid state.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
I think I read that part too.
Yeah.
Good metaphor.
It's like, I don't know. I think people just need to, we just need to think every day about what we use, and like you said, like if consumption goes down, if people decide, hey, I'm not going to get plastic today, I'm going to get something glass.
Right.
I'm going to make that decision.
I'm just not going to get anything.
Or just not get anything.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you know how many times I've gone into a store and like, I'm just not going to buy anything, and my kids will be like, why didn't you buy anything? I just didn't need to.
Yeah.
Like I can actually have those conversations with myself. That's something that I think we all need to do. Like, do I need this?
Conservation, right? Even you just saying that makes me think I'm gonna get like my mustard in a glass jar next time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can, like grape Poupon and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mustard. I wonder if you can get ketchup in that state anymore.
They used to.
The old Heinz bottles. You hit them on the 57.
Exactly. Restaurants and stuff, don't they?
For sure.
Yeah, but it's harder. But it's
it's
harder.
It's not as like cool because I can just squeeze it.
Well, no, but I mean it's harder to find that stuff.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, for sure.
I know how. You use the knife and you get it out of the bottle if you need to. But there are so many little things that people can do. I mean, if I'm a couple, God, it's probably been 10 years now. And like, I tried to eat just locally available foods. Now, the foods didn't necessarily come from local sources.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, I didn't eat strawberries now.
Yeah.
You know, and things like that. And
or
I think
when things are seasonal.
yes,
Seasonal, yeah.
Eating seasonal instead of eating whatever's available.
It's just really hard to do in the winter here.
It is, but there's still stuff to eat.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Apples are still
good.
they're not like they're from here. They last long.
Yeah, go down the Burnham's orchard.
Yeah. I mean,
we've got lots of orchards in this area.
Yeah, we do.
You know,
but if you really think about trying to eat locally, that's a big way. Or
it's tough.
It's tough, but it's if you have it in your mind, and even like it helps you inform one choice that you make about what you're buying.
Right.
You know, that's helpful.
Yeah. Even so far as just like look up your local area where you're at, where you live, and see what's like seasonal while you're buying it, because it's so hard to tell anymore. It's like, is this avocado seasonal here? It's like avocados don't grow in Ohio.
They're never seasonal.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
I know. All the healthy stuff is not here.
Right.
So when we went to Florida, we went to, it was just a grocery store. You know, we were going to get groceries for the week or whatever. You could not find a Florida orange. They were all from California.
Wow.
Tell me that's not nuts.
In Florida?
Tell me that's not nuts.
Yeah, that's weird.
It was very weird. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why don't they have Florida oranges here?
Yeah.
It was like, it blew my mind, you know?
Globalism is really weird. I saw, I forget what it was, but it was like grown in like Argentina and then packaged in like Vietnam, but it was on sale in UK, in England. And they're like, this is broken. Everything is broken.
Yeah, for real. Like, it should not
why are
be
we
here.
doing any of this?
And you think about the people in Argentina and Vietnam just need to eat the food.
Right.
You know, do you remember when there was that, the Icelandic volcano?
Yeah.
And you couldn't fly for like a week, or it actually ended up being a long time where you couldn't fly in Europe. And they showed pictures in Kenya of peppers rotting.
Wow.
Because they couldn't get out?
Because they grow them in Kenya and they couldn't take them out and they don't eat them.
Right.
Why don't they eat them?
Well, it's not native. I mean, it was something that wasn't like a native food.
Oh, right.
And so
they're just growing
it. They're growing it to send to Europe.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was, kind of hits you in the face of
it's like
grow what you can eat, not what's going to feed someone else.
Right. For real.
Know? But
I mean, that reminded me of another part of the David Attenborough film, where they're cutting down so much of the Amazon to plant palm trees, like palm oil.
And cattle farms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
and
heard that
like
too.
cattle farms.
It's very unnecessary.
And they're like, I think they're losing money on the deal, but it just like in the short term, it just sounds good on their bottom line. That's what I heard.
Yeah, palm plantations are huge. In Asia too. They're wiping out
for these
habitats
for the palm oil.
and putting in palm plantations.
We can't keep doing this to the Amazon though.
No.
Literally, the
like
planet's
every
lungs.
Every day.
Yeah, every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what but how can we sitting here in Ohio?
Right.
What can we do?
Right.
What do we do?
Plant
no,
trees.
I'm asking you. What do we do? I'm asking you.
We abolish private property and we just say, hey, this is our planet. You can't do that anymore.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can sue government. It was just an article I read the other day. I forget what was in. People like groups and environmental groups are suing their local governments, saying like, you're ruining our planet. Like, you need to stop.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't we do that? Let's just start suing the government.
I thought about calling Bill Murray and being like, hey, dude, like, you need to buy part of the Amazon for us.
Seriously.
Like somebody.
I mean, somebody like that, get a couple more celebrities with a bunch of money.
Yeah, like, if I was Bezos right now, I would buy the Amazon.
Why is
Well, he has the name Amazon.com. Right. That's where all the money came from. Why isn't he, like, I thought that was the whole idea, right?
He's going to space.
You need to, right, instead of taking care of our planet.
Yeah.
Right. Well, why don't you start like a sign-up sheet?
Yeah,
Amazon.
Why doesn't Amazon help the Amazon? Yes. Right? Like.
I love it. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know why I've never heard of that before. That seems like that should be a thing.
It should be. Well, that's. I mean, just with the this disparity in the wealthy. I mean.
Right.
We need to expect the people at the top to do much more than they are.
And we need catchphrases, like, people have short attention spans.
That's right. Exactly.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I mean, maybe it's like the fact that we're like absorbing so much information all the time that like it's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but now it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Because I have more things to find out, you know?
Right.
Like I can't just...
It can be overwhelming though. Once you get into
Yeah.
like the environment stuff. And like I made the mistake of reading, I forget, I can't even tell you the name of the book or who wrote it or anything, but it was a book about the environment and very realistic about the future and you know 2030
What's
is a drop point, you know, and I'm like, that's close.
It
and
is.
I was still breastfeeding, so my kids were young. Yeah, because that's when I got a chance to read. And it literally it affected me.
Traumatized,
It's like and so like when you get into that information, it's really hard. Like the whole eco anxiety and eco grief and all that. It's real.
Crisis.
It is, and it should be. I think that and not, you know, I think it needs to spur us on.
Yeah, because it can be debilitating.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you don't know what to do. You know, it's just like overwhelming, and you're like, I'm driving the car right now.
I shouldn't be
when
thinking
I'm
about
thinking
this.
about it. But I got to get to the place to do the thing first.
Right.
You know, it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
In so many.
We have to learn. We have to have a better balance. You know, because right now things are way out of whack.
Yeah. I think for my next car, I'm going to lease an electric car. Yeah. Just because it seems to be economically makes a lot of sense. Like, and then I guess it cuts your energy bill. Like how much I'm spending on fuel it cuts down by like $1,000 or something like that. Amazing. So it's like that's, you know, included in that cost. And all of that. Yeah. Plus, true. Like your repairs. I mean, like, there's barely any repairs that you need to do or maintenance on an electric car. So,
right.
My God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, I'm driving down the road and like, why is my engine shaking just a little bit? Like, I've changed the oxygen sensor. I changed all the spark plugs. I don't know. I changed everything in the whole deal, right?
The doors just won't open.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Well, that's not going to help with an electric car, but
Yeah. That is the dream. That's the next vehicle I want to get to.
Yeah, for sure. Know? And the prices have come down drastically in the last 10 years.
You have to think they sound expensive though, but all cars are ridiculous.
Really
and even
expensive,
3 years ago, they were ridiculous. But, and like it's come down a lot. Even if you wait a year or two from now, it's going to be a whole different market.
Right.
It's just the volume and demand, you know. A lot of people are thinking like we are because we're like, how do we do this?
But until then.
Yeah. Right. Because, I mean, even if you're getting your power from the grid still, an electric car is still more efficiently using that electricity. Gasoline engines are horribly inefficient at using the energy that's in the gasoline.
Right. I have a question.
Yeah.
Will it heat up my car faster?
I would assume so. It would be an electric heater.
That's what I'm so I'm like,
yes, you would think that it would, right?
Because a part of like now, I think of now.
Yeah.
Like you start your car and let it run for 10 minutes so it's bearable when you get into it. If I don't, I mean, even just not having to do that.
Yeah. I don't ever do that. I should do that. I never do that. I'm just like
I do that and it's still cold.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to ask my electric car friends. I don't own one right now.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I haven't like really ever owned like a real one before.
Yeah.
No.
I've had hybrid cars and I've driven mini electric kit cars and
like
things.
Like what your dad made and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder what they do in Teslas. I mean, I bet they.
And do they
shut
so
off? Many around here?
You know, like
there
a lot
quite
of
a few. Yeah.
There are. It's kind of nice, but. You know, like the newer vehicles, that will shut off when they idle for too long or whatever.
Yeah, and
restart. Yeah. I mean, my car doesn't do that, but like if I'm at the bank or whatever, I'm going to be there for a minute. I always shut it off.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I worry eventually it won't start again.
Well, then I heard that it
end
actually
of life vehicle.
Yeah. But you're actually using more like energy or more, gas by restarting it. But I don't know how true that is.
It depends on the vehicle. Like if they're designed to do it, then it's not. But yeah, like it can.
But mine that's not designed like that.
It could use more gasoline that way too. I've heard that. I used to like 20 years ago I delivered pizzas or whatever.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, nice.
Long time.
Who'd you deliver for?
East of Chicago and Pizza Hut at different times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
good portion of my life delivering.
Yeah.
I was about 3 years. I know this town pretty well, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too.
Yes. Sad, when everybody's getting divorced before anybody else does.
Yeah, right.
Like, they should know pizza drivers know a lot.
Here's a tangent. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, other than just knowing information, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole Alexa idea, right, and all that. I guess did you hear the story about the father took his daughter to Target or whatever, and they were getting targeted advertisement at them from Target, on their phone or whatever, and they were giving them advertisements for different pregnancy different things or whatever, and he didn't know that his daughter was pregnant, and I don't even think she knew yet, but just her behavior, I guess,
that's nuts,
triggered it. And then it's hey, why am I getting all these advertisements? There's no
That's weird. See, that's when you think it's reading your mind.
Right.
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. I mean, we have a lot of behavioral traits that we don't realize that we have, that when you collect that much data and run them through machine learning algorithms and all of that, they can figure out some crazy shit about you.
That is nuts.
I find that really fascinating.
Yeah.
The whole Freakonomics thing about when you can take all that data and find out. I don't want to.
It is fascinating.
I don't want to know about it to sell you something.
Right.
But that's what they're
know
using
it to
for.
Understand just general people's behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost the psychological aspect of it.
Yes,
but no,
exactly.
that data is being used to target us for
Well,
commercials.
I know that,
sure,
but I'm just
sure.
saying I like it for the other reasons.
We can use data science just as easily, though. You just go to Google Analytics, and they have so much information on there.
Do you
it's
have to
ridiculous.
buy it?
No, it's all free. There's a lot of different public analytical websites out there.
Right.
I mean, Amazon, Facebook, Google, they all have them. It's all public information.
Yeah.
And then you can run. I don't know. I was learning data science recently for no reason, and just kind of getting into it, and there's whole different spreadsheet websites and things that's just free access to it.
Wow.
And you can just bring in data sets from all over the place. People do it for reports and all over, for different things like that.
I wanted to do that one, or not do that, but survey people.
Yeah. If you get the idea about something and then you're oh, I could use data science for this, you can.
Right.
It's
See, in my
crazy.
mind, I would think I would be on the corner with a pencil and a
Right.
just actually writing. You know what I mean? That's how I think of collecting data.
The data set is way smaller, though.
Yeah.
And you get not as clear a picture.
Right. But I don't know. You miss that human interaction, too.
You also, there's blind spots in it, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't include people who don't have internet access, on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
it's
is a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do the whole Starlink project, the whole satellite internet thing, and I guess one of the satellites almost hit a Chinese space station the other day. It was a real close call.
Well, didn't Russia try and take out something, or they took out one of their satellites and almost hit the space station too?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that was somewhat a little while ago, or in the last month. They all had to go into the little secret secure.
It's called Starlink.
Yes.
That's a little close to Skynet, isn't it?
Right.
I mean...
Definitely, yes.
Is that another Black Mirror thing?
No,
it's
Terminator.
Yeah, the old, the original, the OG.
See, I have not seen that one either.
No, that's real close to it. That's people aren't getting that.
Yeah, I know. There was something called Sky Ocean I saw recently, and I don't know, they dance around it, but no one wants to really call it Skynet. That's such a perfect name for it.
Yes.
We're we have the cloud, it's a cloud. Was that Skynet? No, it's a cloud.
No, it's totally different.
Whole different thing. It's
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, we live in it's just such a crazy world,
Mm-hmm.
We're transitioning from the horse to the automobile, and they did that really quick back then too.
Oh yeah.
But we're in another one of those transitional periods.
Oh, for sure.
But they've renamed it.
What?
Have you seen I'm not gonna remember
the
it.
period that we're in?
Yeah, we're
Like
literally in a new.
Like not the Holocene.
Yes.
Yes, it's the
It's the land. It's human. It's the human
era of the humans.
Yes.
Yes, and it's called. That was another David Attenborough that was on that.
Yeah. Anthropocene or something.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because anthro just means human, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're right. Yeah. I
studied a lot of anthropology in college.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's really cool. I wish I would have done that. But there, I forget if it was a television show or an article I read, but as much like industrialization or as much technology, like innovation that was in the first half of the century or something like that.
We've gone through so much.
Yeah, I mean, in the last, from 2016 to 2020, they said, how much innovation has happened between that time period happened then, and as much will happen between the years 2022 and 2026.
Oh wow!
So it's gonna it's just we're just accelerating so fast.
That's partially why I wanted to do this podcast too. It's
document,
almost like documenting this transition in a way,
right,
and where is everyone? What were people's mindsets at the time? And all
I'm
that.
Because it's just gonna.
What's
resistant.
I'm
well.
resistant.
The resistance is
No,
here.
we're not resistant. I wouldn't say that.
But I'm resistant because of what it does to my kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Legit, if I take away their screens
Right.
for a week, they're different humans.
Yeah.
So why would I want to bring that all into my house? Within reason.
But can we separate? Technology is everywhere, so it's can we take that away, the screen, while also accepting
Alexa.
hydrogen? Yeah, Alexa.
That's Alexa
as my.
Yeah.
So it's all of
Solution for
that
that.
is innovation. It's what can we accept, or what are we okay with?
Yeah.
Well, our
Because there's just so
humans
much.
don't
Different.
evolve as quickly as the technology. That's part of the
Right,
problem.
right.
We're gonna
the
fall
blue
behind.
screens, everything else. Animals evolve quicker because they're I assume a lot of them, their generations are faster, so they have
Right.
they can
Yeah.
evolve faster. We're our lifespans are so
It's longer,
long
yeah.
that our evolution is so relatively slower. So it takes us with all these changes going on around us, we're not keeping up
Adapting,
with it.
right? Yeah.
And that's on us to build a technology around how humans naturally are too.
And that's not.
And it's not
picture.
exactly happening. It is in some ways this intuitive kind of interface kind of idea. It's how do humans just naturally behave, behavioral science and etc. And then just trying to allow people to be people and allow technology to just enhance instead of technology being kind of hindering, it takes us away from us being able just to be the most human we can be. And then what does that mean, right? Human is very we connect with other people a lot, right?
Emotional feeling.
The phone allows us to connect to a lot of people in a lot of ways, but it's
also kind of
the actual telephone.
Yeah, the
Not
actual
the smartphone.
not the smartphone. No, because that is actually I think it's removed us from a connection.
In a way, it has.
Yeah.
But in another way, it has allowed us to have these types of conversations too.
Yeah.
Because I think that if people are having a normal conversation, it doesn't get that deep, generally speaking, right? Like any normal everyday conversation with someone you don't.
I don't
even
have those.
No, yeah.
Because I can't.
See,
no,
right,
but because I have. This sounds so horrible. Very little patience for those.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just hi, how are you? Great. Okay.
Small
No.
talk.
Let's get
and all
real.
that. Yeah.
Let's get real.
I don't have. Well, I am. I'm not real.
Me too. I know.
We got a lot to do and less time
yes,
to do it
exactly.
in here.
It's I want to figure something out here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
am not real good at the superficial fluff
There's
conversations.
nothing wrong with that, though.
Oh, but you
It's-
kind of have to do them to survive.
Well, yeah.
And be
it's
with
the kind of
people.
sales pitch in a sense,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of, it feels not real and it feels fake, I guess, in a lot of ways, and it's prescribed to us, oh, how you doing? It's you don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That should be the response.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
you don't
I'm
care.
gonna say that sometime. If someone says, "Hey, like, you don't care," don't ask me.
Lots of real deep epiphanies happening on this podcast.
Yeah. And if the person responds, "Well, yeah, I do care." Oh, well, then sit down. I want to talk with you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? How's the world changing? What is happening? What are you trying? Are you being responsible today? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
What's great is actually, I think a lot of people that have come in here, we do end up having those deeper conversations.
That's what I
It's
assumed.
amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
It is.
And it is like an education. It is like, because just forefront, just what you're doing. Like, people are like curious.
Curious,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like, well, what is it? Why are you doing this? Or, right.
Yeah.
And I think we learn from them too.
Right.
There's so many, like, it ends up being like, whoa, did you know about this resource? Or, that one lady came in and she had started a spreadsheet looking at all the styrofoam plates and trays that they're using in their school district.
That's right,
because they don't have a dishwasher.
Oh, wow.
In any of these, there's like
nuts. What do we
7
teach our
schools
kids?
and there's no dishwashers.
That's insane.
The kids do it. I mean, you know.
They used
that's
to.
What we used to do,
we used
for
to have
sure.
to do
So,
it.
you know,
What's
just
wrong with that?
Yeah.
learning, how that's changed, but also like that someone's trying to, raise awareness about it.
Yeah. Or just like ideas from other people, like that they do, things that they use as opposed to, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's nice talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
We become so relaxed in a lot of ways, probably too.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, we don't have to wash dishes. We just, just buy a bunch of them and be cheaper.
Right.
I don't know. Or
Right.
just easier. We do so many things that are just easier all the way around.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the problem.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should all be made to wear our trash. All the trash that we generate for 1 week.
It sounds like an awesome art installation
Yes,
somewhere.
exactly.
It, like, honestly, like, you just, like, carry around a sack on your back, and everything that you discard from yourself gets placed in that sack for 1 week.
Yeah.
I had to do that, kind of.
I think so, too.
In
I think
Africa,
I would
we
like
had
to know.
You have your trash.
And that's all you get.
Well, and, like, you either have to burn it or, I don't know, bury it somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, like, there's nowhere to just, they don't come and pick it up.
Yeah.
So, I hate to say it, but would carry around, this sounds gross and I apologize, used tampons.
Oh, well, yeah. Because you had to.
What do you do?
Right.
You can't throw them
They
away.
did not have it.
You can't throw them down like a I mean, I guess you could throw them down a latrine.
Well, you didn't have the June cup back then.
Well, yeah.
Something
but I mean, like, and what do you, just silly things. Like, but now I pay attention to, like, all the waste more, I guess.
Yeah. And it might be generational too, and not to call out a grandparent of mine, but like I bring out my garbage, but then like I sometimes bring her garbage out, for her, and it is heavy.
Yeah.
And like it would take me literally an entire month to do what she does in a week.
Really?
That's amazing.
Easily.
See, we used to, and now I feel bad.
Yeah.
I apologize, Grandma. They used to always save the silverware. And it was kind of a joke that we saved the plastic silverware and there was a bowl for it and stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'd do that.
Right.
But it used to be this, why do we have to save the plastic silverware? It was just like a thing, and now, I actually take our silverware so we don't get plastic silverware, so I'm even worse.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the whole depression mindset was with us for a long time,
definitely gone.
Yeah, it's definitely gone. Like I said, when disposable, like, where came, that's just...
It's a huge disconnection in a lot of ways. I mean, we used to have, like, war efforts where the country used to know we were at war because we'd have to, like, ration.
Yeah.
People would, like, make socks for soldiers or, like, ration anything. Everything, basically.
Now we have so much of everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and warfare's changed.
And we don't even know we're at war.
Yeah.
Because,
there's so many less humans involved.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true too.
One of the biggest...
In some capacity, like, we have soldiers all around the world.
Right, but, it's not, 1 million soldiers walking across Europe.
Right.
It's,
it's
1,000 that are driving, big vehicles and everything, computer guided, all that kind of stuff. It's just different.
Yeah. And then, so there's this idea of trying to bring people back to civics and being aware of not just like their surroundings and what they're doing material wise, but also like at a governmental level, being involved in policy making, like what are we doing at large scales and things,
like caring
yeah
about that stuff.
yeah exactly. Like are we subsidizing solar, are we subsidizing a lot of these new technologies that need it, because we're definitely subsidizing Walmart. We're definitely subsidizing for why, right? Like,
well, we're subsidizing them because of their wages.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because like all the actual profits are going to the shareholders, right? And like and we need to pay food stamps to their employees for why, who knows, right? Like but we could easily be subsidizing green energy in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
I always think of green energy as being the crux of all of this, because if in order to use something like a carbon scrubber type of technology to take carbon out of the air, to control things better, we need electricity, and we need green electricity.
But people are so against it here.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, when the whole wind
mindset.
farm thing was going on, oh my gosh, it was
the backlash.
It got really nasty.
Yeah.
And
there's still signs up.
Oh yeah. And they still haven't built it.
Right.
The one that they were talking about over towards Bellevue. And so how do you get people, one, if they're not going to embrace the technology, they're certainly not going to be for subsidies for it.
Right.
Yeah.
They want it, but not in my backyard kind of thing.
I would say the easiest way that I would think to get across to those type of people is like the new movie Don't Look Up.
Yes,
right?
that was weird.
Pop culture, right?
Don't look up.
Yeah. Seriously though, like it gets the point across.
It does. It does, absolutely.
In a poignant way, and so that they'll like pay attention. Like it's a type of education where it's not school. Like how do you communicate in simpler terms?
But people don't believe you. That's the problem we're at. Like
that's true
you
too.
Can give
because
them all
people
the facts.
think it's like a political idea, but it's not. It's a scientific idea.
It is.
But there is no science. We don't believe science anymore either. So it gets tricky. I mean, God bless the people who want to run for office, because
that's a hard
it's so,
space.
It is, but you want to be involved. You want to help your community.
Yeah, exactly.
But not to the point where people are just going to rip you apart because of everything that goes on. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's dehumanizing.
It is
in so many ways.
We have I don't know. I mean, I don't think I could take it mentally.
Right.
I don't
Few
know a lot
people
of people
can.
that could.
But you think about it, we have a core group of people.
Like
if you think about council, it's the same people. It's been some of those people have been on there for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else running.
No.
Because why?
Right. And this is what the point I was trying to make earlier, actually, is we need to get kids involved in civics early on. So like there's this idea where like after high school, right? Like there's like a choice for like 2 years, no, like if you're really gifted, what you want to do, go to college, whatever, right? But like otherwise, we'll have military, or you go into a civil service for 2 years, right? Where we can use these kids to build bridges, infrastructure.
Kind of like AmeriCorps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that similar?
Yeah.
I mean,
because there's a lot of things that need to be done like that still right here. And plus it makes them aware that they're part of a society.
The society.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And gives them a little bit of experience in the job market in a way, and and we need the help,
Yeah. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm all for the
that
gap
out there.
year.
It's Jon Stewart came up with it.
Oh,
okay.
Who doesn't love Jon Stewart?
I know.
No, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so how is he presenting that? How do we move forward with that?
Well, I don't know. It's just it's the idea.
It is the idea. I mean, but that's the thing though. I have so many ideas. I just need to know how to like.
Well, you become a multinational corporation, and then you lobby the government for with a lot of money.
Like fun,
well, and
I know it doesn't.
There's
really
so
at all.
many stereotypes around that idea. I think like you have to choose college, military, or that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that would, I think, have a hard time flying, but a nonprofit that provided that opportunity would be a way to go about it. I think
would be
so
it's
not like a
part of the system,
but this is another
like,
opportunity that you have.
Yeah.
And then some kind of a way to popularize the idea.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take much to give. I mean, for young people, giving them
options,
another option,
something like that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of young people are being disillusioned by a college option just because of money. Straight up.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and I think if you get into high schools, because I think our high schools sometimes have a disservice because it's like college,
Oh, yeah.
and having programs like that, I think it would be helpful because you see how many people go, and it's a year and they're done. They don't make it through.
Right.
And how much different would it be if they took that year? I mean, you could probably do your data science thing.
That's what I was just going to say. Gather that.
Prove that they're going to be more successful if they do something before they go to college.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I bet in 5 years, kids graduating high school will just use data science on a more daily basis.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it seems like something that they'll actually be doing and knowing about more. It'll be more accessible at that point. It'll you'll probably have an app on your phone for data sets or whatever,
right.
Right,
it will.
That's a genius idea right there.
Yeah.
But that's the type of information that they need at their disposal.
Yeah.
Not to mention, real world experience helps them to just understand what options are, you know? And what's actually before you try to go in and start studying to do something. I mean, their brains aren't even fully developed before they're 25.
Right, exactly.
It's
so there's no point in
not really
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, once I went to college for a few years early on at a trade school and got music tech or whatever degree. And then I took a few years off, and then when I went back at 26 to get my bachelor's degree, it was an entirely different thing altogether. I'm just wow, this is I want to be here. I love all of this.
Right.
It was
a conscious decision.
But don't you think they need so college has become go party, figure yourself out, whatever, you know what I mean? Kids need that life experience as well, not to go party and get drunk and all that, but figuring
they need to have a good time in some point in their life. They need to figure out the balance.
Yeah. But you're right that they're not ready. So there needs to be something what you're talking about is a great way to experience that. When I went into the Peace Corps, it was all young kids, and I was 25 or 26, something like that.
Yeah.
It was awful because they're still partying, and I'm there I'm ready to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I see that happening. So how do we fill that? How do we fill that gap? Because you're 100% right.
Yeah,
and we live long enough that we don't need to jump so quick.
No, not really.
So.
And some will, regardless. Some people just know, oh, this is exactly who I am, and I want to get in this Ivy League school, and this is my path.
And we need those people too.
Yeah, exactly. They're leaders, They have a clear vision. Some of them burn out because, that's a lot of stress in those types of positions. Doctors, lawyers, 80 hours a week and all that. That's a whole nother topic, right?
Yeah, right. You have to be prepared for that.
Right. Yeah, we don't really tell kids, hey, if you're going to be a lawyer, be prepared to work 80 hours a week.
And not make as much money as you think you're going to make.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And just be completely burned out and be on call 24/7 because you have a phone in your pocket and your client is going insane about whatever the situation is. You know, that's way more than 80 hours a week.
Right,
for sure.
That you are on, that you have to be on and awake and there with it.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of different paths in law, and but it's just really, I don't know. There's so many different things that kids have no idea that they're getting themselves into right off the bat, you know, other than just oh, this field makes a lot of money, I'll do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's what, that's what they see and hear. And
yeah. And that's, it makes sense in trying to be stable, especially if you want to have a family or something like that,
but you even can do that later.
That's true
there's
too.
So many things so many things are based on we were talking about the dental system and the way dental insurance works and stuff like that. It's based on things from 50, 60 years ago, and we've changed so much
definitely.
But the system hasn't changed with it.
Hasn't changed,
And I think that's the same. Our lifestyles, we live longer, but we haven't like changed that.
Right. These underlying systems that kind of are the basis.
Right.
We need to change those in order to be able to, I don't know, I guess just evolve.
Yeah.
You know?
Even just our language is very constrictive in a lot of ways. Like our school subjects like are all crossing now, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like biotechnology, like is not a course in high school, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, those are where real things are happening, though, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and how much pressure would that take off kids?
Yeah.
To not have those decisions.
Make to have
Yeah.
that choice at 18.
Yeah.
They're not
Right.
ready to make that kind of decision at that
No.
age.
Right.
I don't think any kid is. And that's why you have such a huge dropout rate
Yeah.
as it is.
My son's 15. He's the freshman, and he's like, he was nervous about starting high school because he thought he needed to know what he wanted to do. Like, I'm like, you're a freshman.
Yeah.
You do not need to know. Do not worry about that.
Yeah.
Like, that made me sad that he actually thought that.
Well, at least he's worrying about good things. When I was his age, I was so depressed about everything else. Like I couldn't even get to the point where I was worried about that at all.
Right? Yeah. I just don't want him to put undue pressure on where it's like it's not necessary. Like, please, you don't have to know till way later.
Yeah.
And even then, you don't need to know because you can change it. Like,
exactly.
Do not do that to yourself.
Yeah, and then that field might not even exist by the time you get there.
Anymore, the way things change so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially right now, you're saying in 3 years, in 4 years' time, like where are we even going to be?
Yeah.
Like by the time he graduates high school, right? Like we don't even know what, you know.
Well, and I think
that's
I
crazy.
have added pressure in that timeline, thinking 2030.
Right, I know.
You know,
that's
like I think that
everyone's
is
talking
always in
about.
the back of my head as far when you talk about stuff like that. It's like, well, shit. If we don't do anything by 2030, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Right.
I mean,
matter.
and it's not that bad, but
It does in ways.
Yeah.
It still will. It still will matter.
But it's, I mean, the reality of that, people have not even come close to trying to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And like for me, having that understanding.
Like, what's 2 feet of sea level rise?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and
I know.
great, I live in Ohio.
I know. We're lucky.
But we're close. The lake used to come here.
What
Yeah.
influx of
Yeah.
people will we get in our area, and will it
lots
come?
of climate refugees.
Right.
Right. Will we see food scarcity in
Right.
our lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid that my
Possibly.
children will. And I
'Cause
think to
there's-
myself, I don't know if I want my kids to have kids, and I don't know if I will
Right.
be a grandmother
I know.
someday.
I've thought that too.
You know, and that's sad. I'm thinking that far ahead, but it's like I don't know. I don't know if I want my kids to feel that worry, that burden of, you know.
Yeah.
But that's why I think we had to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Yeah.
that there wasn't like a, oh gosh, you know, this might not work or
Yeah.
whatever. It was like, if
We gotta do
we don't
something.
start doing this stuff, it's there's no chance.
Yeah.
And I mean, this
Yeah.
can right now, this is our temporary kind of throw it together thing, but like this can expand. But I'm not saying like you have every option under the sun of what product you want. That world shouldn't exist anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But there are so many more products and things that fit well to this concept of
And food. Eventually, we want to get to like food, like coffee.
just refilling and not having to every time get the new packaging and trying to go get things that are like our stuff doesn't have all the chemicals in it and things like that. We have to do that, and we have to expand if we're gonna. And even if we do this, we expand a little bit, we're gonna make a dent.
Yeah, and you already are. You know?
know?
In the community, you're already starting the conversation, which is a conversation that doesn't happen in this community nearly enough.
No.
You know?
No.
And that's a huge step forward.
Right.
You know, just in the mindset, getting people to think twice about a piece of plastic or a piece of glass.
Right.
You know?
And it's
like,
not judgmental. It's
Yeah,
not.
no.
We all make, you know. I
we're
don't
all
know,
doing the easiest thing we can to get by.
Yeah.
And it's like
because we have to.
Right, but it's like, you know, just think about it sometimes. Like, do I want this to stay here forever? You know, do I need to buy one more piece of plastic?
Yeah.
Well,
Do
the
I need
things
to-
that you can do, or someone in a different stage of life can do, versus us with kids,
Yeah.
is completely different.
It is, right.
Yeah.
So you have to give people I don't give them that grace too.
There's leeway.
We're in a different life, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
so just think about it.
We've done things the same way our whole life. And now you have to say, I have to change everything.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Right.
It's hard for people to change in general.
And we're very conscious of the cost of it too. You know, as we price things out and stuff like that, it's like, can we afford it?
Can we afford it?
And if we can't, then it's hard to ask someone else to.
Exactly.
But how do you make this more attainable for everyone?
Yeah.
You know, that's a hard yeah, exactly. Hard balance, because you want it, and it is because we don't factor in the cost of everything when you buy cheap stuff. We don't factor in the pollution, we don't factor in the waste, we don't factor in the health problems that you get from it all, and just the
what
general
are the
those
ingredients,
all costs.
you
So,
know?
the ingredients, the shipping,
Yeah.
and all that, like that doesn't come into the cost of the huge Equate hand soap that I bought you buy at Walmart.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're not paying for it in dollars when you buy it, but you do. We all pay for it.
Yeah.
But how do you get that message across without sounding?
It's a really hard concept too to understand.
Yeah,
but
it is.
The externalities
global,
of everything.
Global economics come into play.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we imported this from over here, and then it was packaged
and
over
when
here.
You just need soap to wash your hands.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I get that.
And if you are on a budget and you want the cheapest, that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And so this is weird, right? But like even at a psychological level, like some of us are like emotionally attached to like symbols and brands, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, it had Dawn. You know, I remember that from when I was a kid. So like, you know, this is like the soap I use.
Yeah. Right.
It's like but it's
you
hard.
Don't have to.
That's hard to break that.
Especially
That's one thing that I'm really with my kids pretty proud of, the fact that they have no clue what any labels and stuff. They have nice stuff, but it came from my sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they had no idea. Like, this is a brand. I mean, they kind of have like a vague, but they have never once said, oh my gosh, I have to have this brand of something.
That's
now
cool.
they have to have this certain toy.
Right. Yeah.
But like when it comes to like clothes and stuff, they don't.
Well, and like
That's cool.
My kids, they know we shop secondhand.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't we want to buy something that was gently used instead of discarding it? You know?
You do that. I don't have the patience for it. But when my kids get older, I will.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just going into a stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole. I mean, there's a lot of clothing waste, a lot of textile waste.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
That's the one thing that, like, next door at Kate and Chloe, I was happy to see. Like 70% of her stuff comes from the U.S.,
Oh, wow.
which is kind of hard to find.
It is, yeah.
So
definitely.
That was something that I thought was really cool.
Even I screen print shirts every now and then as a hobby side business, so to speak.
Do you have a screen printer, or do you have like a?
Yeah, I have like the for screen press and heater and all that stuff, but yeah, just like the prices are all based off of like, overseas shirts,
Exactly.
Like, to try to get an American-made T-shirt is usually twice as much or more.
Right.
And so that affects the price of what I'm doing. And if I'm quoting people a price, that's really hard to do if you're just making I guess I would have to quote the American-made price, and then just promote that idea.
Yeah.
Right.
I know one of my customers always gets American-made shirts, and like I didn't even really think about it until they started doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, we could do that.
Well, as long as they lasted, I would have no problem with it.
Yeah.
So many things. Its clothes are, I feel like, are on that
planned
obsolescence
to make sure it's
as well. But you know what I mean? Like so many pieces of clothing, I wouldn't mind paying a little more for it if I knew
if it lasted.
I wouldn't stretch out as soon as I washed it, and then it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
The quality of things.
Really, yeah.
I would make it frustrating, but the whole fast fashion and
lots of ways.
When everybody decided they could make their own T-shirts.
Right.
That's going to come back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah.
Because I don't need a T-shirt for every season. God bless, it's fall, y'all, but you don't need it. And so it's just waste.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What what if we could like screen print over like a shirt that you got at Goodwill?
Or you can go over. You can screen print on anything.
Yeah.
But
so why not?
There is like different things that you can like wash out, like an old plastisol off of a shirt or whatever kind of ink it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it
really
is.
cool.
That's completely possible to do.
They go over tattoos. They might as well be able to go.
Yeah, I know that.
We do have the technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, and then, speaking of like most of our clothes have plastic in them anymore.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
You know?
I just actually had this mental debate about that
What?
today because I was like I was looking at shirts because we wanted to get a couple new shirts.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, these are eco-friendly. They're made with recycled plastic bottles. I was like, oh, great, they're eco-friendly. But then I was like,
But it was plastic.
there are microplastics everywhere. So that's not eco-friendly.
Yeah.
How do you square that circle, right?
Exactly. I'm like, well, I guess I need 100% organic cotton to be eco-friendly, right? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's reused. I mean, it's repurposed. It's got a...
I know, that's what they're trying to sell me on that. But then after, I was like, wait, that's not helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah,
I don't know what to
my clothes
get.
are made out of plastic.
Yeah.
I just didn't know.
Oh, I know. Nobody does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Polyester,
rayon,
vinyl.
polyester. Yeah.
All your workout clothes.
People don't know that's all plastic.
It's a different type of plastic, though. I mean, like, that was like a DuPont invention back in, like, the 50s, right? Like, it's a whole different kind of chemistry involved in making that stuff.
But it's still,
Nylon,
every time you wash it, it sheds into the water system. That's where the
That's where the
microplastics, like, so I saw somewhere where you can get a bag to put your clothes in so it, like, the microplastics don't come out. And I'm like,
that makes no sense.
Exactly.
Then what do you do? No.
But, yeah.
So the soap
that's a
can go
gimmick.
in?
I don't know. Exactly.
I know.
But, that's just another way that we
Justify.
drink and eat plastic is
Yeah.
through our
People
water
are just
from that.
preying off of people's confusion and ignorance and just like, oh, you buy this and, like your computer won't get viruses or, I don't know, whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm trying to retain that like, innate feeling that people are at heart good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's hard.
I'm glad
to
you
do.
can keep it.
Yeah, I know. Like, I generally think that, and then I am told otherwise at different times, too.
Right,
Because,
right.
like, I have conversation, like, some deeper, like, political and economic conversations with a family member of mine, and I'm just like, well, why aren't we doing it this way, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, have you ever been in sales before? Because some people will completely screw you over and be completely happy about it at the end of the day, and that was their whole point. Like, that's what they're there to do, you know? And
you're
it's
like
like,
saddened by that.
what?
oh,
like, because I knew that was completely true when he said it, you know?
Yeah.
And now that hurt.
You're like, oh,
It's just like,
humanity.
I think they are,
Damn
but
it.
people are like, I always wonder if the internet, Facebook, whatever it is that allowed people to comment without commenting to your face didn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
How much nicer would we be? Because people are really easily nasty.
Yeah.
When they don't have any
You don't
accountability besides someone typing back at them.
Right,
Yeah.
but
You
you
know?
don't. Do you think that would not have happened if it weren't for the advent of like social media
But
and
I
stuff?
think that
It's
the
the
lack of the
internet in
face to
general, I
face.
think.
Yeah.
Because we always said things behind people's backs,
Right. Yeah.
but you never said it to their face. So we're
They
just
still don't. I mean, not.
yeah, but they say it behind your back on the internet for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time in human history we've ever had this type of political platform that's a public space. No one's ever had a voice before, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're seeing all types of ways that people interact with that, you know? And the consequences to themselves and to others. And it's really weird. Like, it's a completely new thing. Like, it's like when they invented the printing press, they thought people would just stop being able to learn. They're like, well, if we put all the information in books, people stop, like, learning stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, right?
Yeah. We know what happened.
Yeah. But that was a fear. That was a legit fear
But
that
that's
they had
like
at that
innate
time.
in humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hasn't gone away. Like,
Yeah.
some people maybe, but like I feel like I have a stronger desire to learn now than I ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know,
And there's so much more to learn now too.
Well, because it's so much more accessible.
Yeah, and so it's like that's the good aspect,
right?
You know,
but you have to weed through.
We're also discovering a lot of things all the time too.
Yeah,
things are becoming more specialized all the time. Like our computers, like even just like we're able to put like 1 billion more transistors on a chip, you know, like every year or something.
Right, but they're not making them fast enough. Right.
Yeah, and you know what? It's exponentially, you know, changing. Obviously. It's a weird spot to be in history because we're seeing phases of it happening already. Like between like 95 and 2005, people didn't know what the internet even was.
Right.
You know, and then by 2005 we have smartphones and YouTube came out that year, right? And so right. That was the first time we had video on the internet, and everyone's like, "Oh shit! Like this is real. The internet's real."
That's when MTV went like downhill.
That is true. Yeah, you're right.
I miss MTV. I loved MTV.
And then the next 10 years, from 05 to 15, was kind of like, "Oh, we got social media. What is all of this? We're doing it." And then by 15, though, is when you really had the whole political backlash of the 2016 election.
Right.
And, like, we realized, oh, there's, like, consequences to this world. Now we're in this post
But we're not doing anything. We haven't changed anything.
Not yet.
We haven't.
No. I think
but we're aware of it now.
Like just talking about it.
We're in the first 10-year period since then, right now. Like that's what's happening right now.
This is the beginning.
This is this era.
But I feel like as those things move faster, I crave getting out of that.
Yeah.
So like I crave having, you know, going outside, being with my kids and in nature, or you know, gardening, or the fact that they don't want to play sports, so we have more time at home to like I crave getting out of that. Like it used to be keeping up with the Joneses, but I don't even know what it is anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I feel like as things go that way,
you want to get as far away from it as possible.
For a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where I think it comes to that like superficial side of it, and where I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I see all that happening, and where I just want to sit with you on the back patio and have a beer and talk.
Yeah. Right.
Instead of, you know, I don't know, being somewhere else.
But at the same time, and you taught me this, Al.
Oh God.
We need these platforms, you know, with social media and stuff, to be able to talk to people about why we're doing what we're doing.
Right.
You know, to get that across.
It helps the communication thing again, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess we have to use it, you know.
I learn a lot that way, but it's also like really frustrating.
Oh yeah.
There's so much to it, and there's like what we were saying before too, like there's like so many different topics that you can specialize in. Yeah. And that you can just keep going deep in that subject for forever, pretty much. And then a lot of people do. I mean, that's kind of what college is for, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But then there's like the broad spectrum, generalized knowledge. Like, how do we put all these pieces together? Who's the guy who's out there who knows a little bit about a lot of things and can see the connections between them, and can organize these people and be like, okay, you know about this and you know about this. How do we bridge this to make this happen?
I just heard an analogy about that, and it was two animals, and I cannot remember what it was, but it was like one goes deep, and the other is wider, and I can't remember what it was.
We were talking about that.
Yes.
I forget.
I forget where. I think I read it in that Genius book.
Yeah,
yes,
you're telling me
there's
about
a book
it.
about the habits of geniuses or something. It was so interesting, but it talked about two animals, and one like really got deep into a subject, and then they had the other people who go wide and learn about a lot of different things. And geniuses tend to be the ones that go wide.
A wide angle.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I got the idea from Buckminster Fuller. He was a designer, engineer back in the early 1900s. Developed a lot of different things, and then he became like the science editor of Forbes, and then like became like kind of a communicator of science in a lot of ways. But he was an interesting guy.
What did you say his name was?
Buckminster Fuller. He's pretty famous.
They say the name sounds familiar. I can't picture him, but
but he talks a lot about like generalization versus specialization. another thing is, oh dang! Now I lost it.
Can't imagine how that happened.
I just kept. Oh, right. So humans, right? Like, we don't change quickly.
Yeah.
And we never have. Like, if you lived in 1200 AD, right? Like your great grandparents are gonna be doing the exact same thing that your great grandchildren are gonna be doing.
Right.
Pretty much no difference.
Yeah.
Like, this is the way things are, and this is the way things, as far as I know, they're always gonna be.
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we always think that. Like,
Yeah.
I think throughout history, things have never changed that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And usually by the time we get to a certain point, we have gone so far that we can't even see backwards anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't know what we used to do anymore at this point,
Right.
you know? But now, everything's changed, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the 1800s, like, it felt like things were getting faster, and like the authors at that time started using science in different, like, mysterious ways, and like creating science fiction and weird horror, like, genres out of it, and things like that, which was really cool. But but also, like, the mentality was changing at that time, and people felt it. But it still felt like things would still always, like, be horses for a long time.
Right.
It still
They
felt,
couldn't foresee.
yeah,
this to
like,
be, yeah.
they called, Edison a wizard, right?
Yeah.
Like the Wizard of Menlo Park, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was beyond comprehension what he was even doing. Like, and then you get to the, like, 1900, people, like, scientists were like, we're never going to be able to fly an airplane, you know, like, that's not going to ever happen.
Yeah.
Like, they had cars at that point, but, like, there was still just as many horses.
Yeah, it was still a pipe dream.
Yeah, yeah. And then by, like, the 19-teens, there's, like, World War I, and, like, the Red Barons flying around shooting airplanes down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And we're using, like, wireless radio and radar, and all of that's brand new, and things changed real quick after that, and then in the Roaring 20s, and then Depression, and then World War II, and then you have a explosion of different new technologies, and then atomic and nuclear things happen at the end of the war.
Right. I mean, just wait and see what happens in the next 5 years.
I know, but I feel like, and I know it is, but I feel like the changes that happened back then were way bigger than the changes now. I feel like it was bigger steps.
Yeah.
Where we're kind of more incremental.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Because we've kind of, like, computers was the big step, and now, or the internet, whatever, and now we're kind of along where it was like electricity and,
what's the next
heating
big thing?
and running water, and there were so many big things that happened then.
I think that they were big things that people could understand on a general basis.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whereas now, if you don't know what the particle is that they're looking for at the CERN Research Center, and they're, flying at the particle accelerator, and they're flying around particles at the speed of light, crashing them together, and they're like, oh my God, we just found the thing, and everyone else is like, what are you talking about? I don't know what the thing is.
That's true. Like, it was more accessible. It wasn't as specialized.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
right.
Exactly. Yeah. So to them, it's like, oh my God, we just discovered the wheel. To everyone else, it's just like, they're crazy. They're like literally like just nerds, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They're talking nerd talk.
It has to be applied for everyday use.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's tons of science articles I see all the time. Like, one of them, and they're just unbelievable to me, like how they teleported a piece of information from the space station to China.
What?
Yeah, this was like 5 years ago or something.
Information. A piece of information.
They quantum entangled like two I don't know, particles, right? And they were able to like actually teleport it from one spot to the other without it traveling through airspace, through space and time.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
That is amazing.
Like, it's insane.
I told you about my portal dream, right?
Yeah.
I had a portal dream.
Oh,
where actually, like,
cool.
I could, like, conjure
a
portal, like, with my eyes.
You just put that on the podcast.
Tell people about my
I
dreams.
put a lot of things on this podcast. It's fine, yeah.
No one
listens this far anyway.
No, I I mean, where I could conjure up a portal and like step through it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know because
I think that it's going to be possible, too.
I think it might be, too. I don't understand how.
So I call this my comic book idea, right? You want to hear how I invented teleportation?
Yeah.
Using this random news article, right? Mm-hmm. Like, using quantum entanglement, right? You entangle two particles, and they have the same properties, right? They start spinning in the same direction or whatever. There's another... a whole huge branch of science that I'm going to talk about right now, which is it's like fifth or sixth state of matter. Okay, there's like liquid, solid, gas, plasma, and then there's the Bose-Einstein condensate. Now the Bose-Einstein condensate. I
feel like I've heard this on the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, could be. yeah. Where you take matter and you take it down to absolute zero temperature. Which is where at that point the state of matter changes, and the matter itself, all of that matter starts to act and function as like one thing, okay? Mm-hmm. Which is really, really strange, and it takes on these different properties. Mm-hmm. So the idea being, and in my comic book, this is the way that I'm spinning it, right? Is that like we're gonna just develop this thing in space that's just kind of like a sphere, right? Or maybe a gate portal or something, right? Like where you can like actually create a Bose-Einstein condensate, and then you have like all this state of matter that's like in a circle, right? And then you get that to all act like one particle, and then you entangle that particle with something really far away, and then you use that to travel or teleport, whatever, right?
Right.
I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but like it kind of is fun to think about, right?
Yeah,
like
that it could actually
mm-hmm.
possibly.
Yeah, because that opens up a lot of ideas right there. Mm-hmm. If that's possible.
No more planes.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we could go visit the other Earth-like planets.
For sure.
Right.
Isn't isn't the moon of Jupiter or something the most Earth-like planet? One of the moons.
Europa?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The most Earth-like.
Well, in our solar system.
Yeah.
But there's others.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of other Earth-like planets.
Yeah. Right.
We
gotta get to them.
Yeah, it's impossible to get to them.
Right.
Where we are.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that is developed, I hope it's not only for like the people that can afford it.
Right.
You're gonna have to make it cheap.
Yeah, on the cheap.
Hopefully by that point there's no capitalism anymore, no money. In a Star Trek society, they have no money, right?
Right. Yeah, for real.
I've been listening to this podcast called Moneyless Society a lot lately, and they talk about what the possibilities are, like how it works, and like they don't always talk about society being completely moneyless, but just a lot of different ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I started looking up how Star Trek works, and I was like, who's talking about Star Trek right now?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know these people.
Yeah. They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Because what we're doing now is obviously doesn't work. There's a lot of incentive to do wrong things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for personal gain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole like greed is good.
Yeah.
Mantra from the 80s or whatever.
Like, right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really, that's where we're at. That's we're at the conclusion of that mindset, and now everyone's like questioning everything.
Yeah, is that where we want to be?
Well, and I think that it's understandable in the scarcity concept. Like, we have so many people that are truly living with scarce resources.
Yeah.
We have so many people that imagine that they're living with scarce resources because they are not meeting up with the standard. Mm-hmm. So like there's people who truly are poor. Yeah. People who think they don't have enough because they're not meeting what they think their life should be. Mm-hmm. And then you have the people who are apparently someday the $1 billion is just going to disappear, so they're holding on to that as hard as they can.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. They're legit motivators.
It is.
That's not good.
No.
But they're real motivators for people for the decisions.
But where did those concepts come from?
It's fear. It's fear-based. Yeah. I mean, like, people holding on to billions of dollars because they think the
well, I mean, you think about it, like, I can't possibly pay taxes because,
Otherwise,
my
they won't
money's going to
create
disappear.
jobs or
Yeah.
something. It's
Yeah.
like they're not creating jobs anyway.
Right.
Like,
No.
But then you have the people who legit, like, we don't have enough money to eat.
yeah, exactly.
And so you get why they do some of the things that they do.
Because it's scary. Like, we have a system where it's like, if you don't do A, B, and C to live in our society, then you don't eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's really scary to be part of that type of society.
But I think the most dangerous one is the people who are trying to live like person X but get paid like person Y. And so those are the people who really do so much damage. You know, like all the people who live beyond their means. So every day I just feel like those are the people that just are sometimes get so desperate. Because it's not so much because they're, how do you say it? When they fail, that image that they've created for themselves disappears.
You're right.
You know, it's different if you're like, I don't want to put myself. This may be, I sound insensitive, but I'm poor.
Right.
I'm poor. That's it. We're trying to get by.
Yeah.
Versus, I can't let you know that we're struggling. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
for
where
sure.
you get like the suicides and people who are so desperate.
Right.
Trying
Because
to prop up this ego.
yes,
You know,
this
that doesn't really
false
exist.
image.
All of these things are just part of humanity. Like you're speaking more like mental health wise. But all of these facets come together to really like make humans who they are.
In a large sense, and that's
You know?
where we're trying to find our way out of. Because, I mean, in cases like that, that's like an external... They're looking for things outside of themselves to fix whatever is wrong inside, and they wonder why they can't find it, so they keep searching, and they're searching in the wrong spot.
Right.
But they don't know to even, like, that the answers are... that they need to go inside and really figure out a lot of things about who they are and what true wealth is and things like that.
I'm literally reading a parenting book about that right now.
Right on.
Because it's so much about we motivate our kids externally.
Yeah.
And not allowing them to fail and process that. And that's like the root of a lot of that. And this the whole ladies thing.
Who's the author? Is it that one lady that you're talking about?
Yes, Leahy. Jennifer Leahy, I think is her name.
Yeah.
It's called The Gift of Failure. But it talks about getting out of your kids' way. Your job is autonomy and allowing them to fail instead of being the snowplow.
Yeah.
And getting everything out of their way. It's not, you're not like saving them, you're just making sure they never run into anything difficult.
Right, bumper bowling.
Like letting them go, but knowing they have all this support, you know, your loving support around them. But anyway, it's the same thing about, and she talks a lot about intrinsic motivation versus external, and that you got to stop rewarding kids.
Right.
And the other thing that she talked about, what I thought was interesting, and it's hard, like, is if you are always telling someone, gosh, you're so smart. You're so smart, you're so smart. They will not try things that might cause them to look not smart.
Right.
So they won't challenge.
Wow. They won't go out of their
if you
comfort.
if you study them, and they talked about rewarding one group saying, oh, you're so smart, you're smart, you're intelligent, and the other group, wow, you worked really hard and figured that out.
Yeah.
The group that worked really hard will always take on a harder challenge and persist through it. The group that thinks they're smart won't even try the harder challenge and maybe even struggle with an easier one after that.
Yeah.
Because they're so afraid of, you know, losing that identity. And it's really interesting. It went through the history of parenting too, and how like it used to be kids, you know, at 5 were working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Some
how
places
now
in the
we're
world they do,
concerned
too.
about
It's
their
still happening.
emotional well-being where 50, 60, 70 years ago no one gave a shit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So this goes back to why aren't the kids in the lunchroom?
Right, exactly.
You know, it's because why? Because we don't want them to have to work? I mean, no, they can wash the dishes and serve the food, so, you know.
I think that's partially why, like, art is so important, because it gives people a safe space to fail over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, essentially, that's all art is. Anybody who's good at art has failed at everything they ever tried up until that point.
But we have to let them.
Yeah.
You know, it's
exactly.
the whole idea of allowing to create, not this is what we're making.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, giving them the tools and letting them go versus, yours needs to look like this.
Yeah.
It's like art is almost like a space for you to fail on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, this is where you go to fail, and this is where you go to grow as a person, because as you're figuring things out, you know that you fail. And there's no consequences in drawing a bad picture of a tiger.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no one's getting hurt. Like, we're not dropping the ball in society.
It's okay.
But you know what?
Yeah.
But kids, like, well, this one wasn't good enough.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like, we don't present it as that way. This is like,
well, and we get grades in an art class.
Well, yeah.
And that's like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I remember drawing a tiger in a, like, 3rd, 4th grade or something, and I got, like, a C on it. And I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'm not good at art.
Yeah.
You know?
So, never going to
like,
try that again.
Right, yeah. It's like, why is that even a thing? That's, like, completely the wrong message. That's completely the wrong reason why we're even doing this, you know?
So do those choices, that we make in life, I mean, it's all psychology based, but, I don't know. It all starts somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just with those decisions, and then just believing in yourself enough to, like, be like, no. But not just believing in yourself, but also, like, understanding, like, you're a part of society and what you do, and not that it should be, not that what you do should, affect everyone or that it does, but just to understand that, yes, in the grand sense of things, the decisions that you make do affect, your world around you.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
So I guess finding that balance between, being independent and making your own decisions and trusting yourself that, you're making the best decision while, also, like, understanding that what you do affects other people.
Yeah.
And the world around you.
But that's the whole point of, like, teaching people kids how to make decisions is that aspect of it does affect other people.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's not all about you.
Right, but not to have, like, the burden also. Like, you don't want that to be a burden in a sense. Like, because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because, you say you want them to be able to make their own tiger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want them, like, to struggle and be like, well, God, how's this tiger going to affect somebody else?
Well, that's where I sit, so they can sit there too.
Well, yeah, artwork does affect other people in ways too,
Yeah.
Like, this podcast is artwork in a way. Yeah. It's like, how do I want a podcast right now? Or like, and I'm just, like, learning as I go. Like, I never knew, everybody watches podcasts or listens to them, and it's like, you pick up, like, oh, I want to talk about that, but I would say this, and this about it. Or whatever,
right, right.
And that's, how...
I kind of forgot we were having a podcast. It's
right.
almost like we're having a conversation.
That's fantastic.
You know
right?
what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the best kind of podcast is where you just forget where you are and you start, like, at the beginning I was a little nervous too because I haven't done one in a little while. I was like, oh man, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
I am way over prepared for this.
A podcast I've been listening to is Buddhist Boot Camp with Timber Hawkeye.
Okay. Cool.
It's
cool
pretty,
name.
Yeah, it is a cool name, but it's just his like, they're only, like, anywhere from 5 to maybe, like, 11 minutes long. Mm-hmm. They're just these nice like thoughts, like
affirmations almost.
Well, not even affirmations, just like thoughts. Like, I don't know, just like trying to be more at peace with yourself and the world, and just making decisions based on, like, the truths, like that
resonate.
Yeah. I mean, and, like, his voice is very soothing too.
Yeah, that helps.
It does. It's almost like it's a meditation, but it's not.
Yeah.
They're just it is very positive though.
I always when I think Buddhism, I think of unattachment, and, like, I got it wrong. I always said that suffering came from desire, but I was corrected on a podcast on the last one I released. Actually, she was just like, well, it's not desire. Desire is good. It's like what gets us out of the bed, what gets us moving towards things. Mm-hmm. It's just the attachment to desire which causes suffering.
Got it.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, when you sit and think about it, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Desire is good. Desire is really good. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's put it, say it for but give it away freely because I'm unattached to it. It's not really mine.
Yeah.
I just hold on to it for you for a minute.
I don't want the suffering. No suffering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo. Anyway, so that's the world.
It is.
Yeah.
That is the world.
Basically, you know,
Yeah.
it's a big mess.
I haven't had this deep a well, me and Al have deep conversations all the time.
Yeah.
But there's not many people that want to sit down and actually talk about this stuff. You know?
Our family gets irritated by us.
Oh yeah. Oh, Sarah. Do you really have to think about that? Well, yeah, actually I do think about it 24/7, so you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard not to think about stuff. I don't know. For some people it's easier, I guess.
It is.
I don't know.
I wish I were like that, but then I'm like, no, I don't, because I don't think I'd care as much.
And it's our differences that make it more colorful.
Yeah. Well, you can stop in here anytime that we're here and have one of these deep conversations with us.
Yeah, right on.
Just know that my kids come out whenever anybody comes here.
Right on. Yeah.
They almost hit somebody with a stuffed Peppa Pig on Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have a certain type of knowledge or wisdom at that age that they don't know that they have.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's refreshing.
I made them all repeat. When someone comes in, where do you go? To the back. We'll see if it works.
I was talking to a friend, and their little girl was like, I want candy. I want candy, please. Yeah. Please, I want candy, please. And then she's like hitting like, please.
Yeah.
Please. I'm like, that's not how any of this works.
Who taught you?
Yeah, they're interesting. They come up with all kinds of interesting things, but it's it's fun.
It's very baseline. Like, I relate to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm just like, I feel that. Like, it's weird to see it happening, you know, like blatantly, you know.
They're all about like, this is a need for me and it needs to be met now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. As like, we're grown-ups, we hide things so much, you know. Like, it's like manners or and it's like almost like we don't want other people to know how bad we are in those kind of capacities.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like, really? What's wrong with you? It's like, I want this, though. All right, dude, simmer out.
Yeah,
you know, like,
what age did you learn that? Like, oh, yeah, I can't say it
gets
like that.
beat out of you. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Through schooling.
I mean,
Yeah, because it's not a strategy that succeeds.
Yeah, no.
Well, it doesn't succeed in a group setting, which is what we put our kids into.
Right. That's
because
true too.
Teachers can't handle, and I mean, I see it. They can't handle, 25 individuals all behaving that way.
True.
They have to all behave this way to even function.
And once they're in a society too, like with their friends groups, like you gotta your friends groups completely dictate a lot of your behaviors.
Yes, but at least with that, you have a little bit of leeway to find like-minded, possibly,
right.
Versus like, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, there's the jocks and there's the nerds and there's the populars, right?
And the
there's the
artsy.
stoners.
Yeah.
There are strict rules in those societies.
Right.
Yeah, so you can pick which one you think you can get into.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, kinda.
Depends on how big the school is.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I really don't like the nerds, and I really don't like the jocks.
Guess it's me.
Yeah, right.
Or you're on your own.
This is the one I don't like the least.
Yeah. Yes, the lesser of two evils. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Sometimes it's better to be on your own.
Yeah.
It really is.
And everyone. America. That's what America, right? Like individualism, right? Like that's.
But we
what
can't handle not being like with people.
No.
I can.
I know I can too, but you have. I think it's a process though. Like
it's a balance.
I told my kids
balance,
like you need to be okay being by yourself.
Yeah.
Because people make really bad decisions when they can't handle being by themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
They do.
Right.
frustration sets in, and
relationships, drinking, all that. If you can't be by yourself and be okay with it, you're gonna make bad choices.
Right, but you also have to know, who you make good decisions with.
Yeah.
Right? You have to figure that out.
It's a big thing. Yeah.
It is a big thing. Yeah.
People write books about it.
They do.
It's wild.
Yeah. I feel like with all the books out there, I should be able to write a book about something.
Yes. I know. I feel the same.
I mean, if all these people can be experts on this stuff, then there's got to be something.
It's got to be something.
Writing a book's a lot harder than you think.
I'm sure.
Say.
Have you read?
I've tried to write books many times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've written the first draft of about 3-ish.
Wow.
Are they fiction or nonfiction?
Both in different capacities. Like, one of them was definitely science fiction.
Okay.
Straightforward, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one, the first one I did was like, I did it as like a tangent project where I just like wrote paragraphs of whatever I was thinking about. So it would just be like, and a paragraph about this, and a paragraph about this. And I just went on however long I wanted to, and then stopped wherever I wanted to, and just went on to the next thing. And it was only about 100 pages, but it was like, over a time period, like I would just sit down and type for a certain time every day.
So you're trying to publish your journal.
Yeah, basically.
Well, my journal was a lot different than that, right?
Oh, okay.
Because I journal every day too, but like it was more.
It's more
along,
like the topic that I'm interested in today, kind of thing.
It was like right after I graduated college, I wanted to like write my thesis before I went back for my master's, right? Mm-hmm. So the whole idea was like, what do I want to do with my master's degree?
Yeah.
So how do I figure that out? Because I had no idea really, but I in my head I was like, I'll get my master's, and I took my GRE, yeah, that's what it was called.
Yes.
And got a score, and it's expired now, whatever. But
expires?
It does.
You can take it again. It's fun.
It's like $50. Yeah. It isn't fun.
No.
But so that was the idea of that, and then I actually I wrote a lot of short stories and things in a short story group for a while, and then started writing my own things. And then I was like, okay, this idea could be a book, right? And then so I was like, I'm going to move to Argentina and just live there for 4 months, not know anybody, not go anywhere, and just write this book. That was the whole idea. And then my dad's like, hey, we know someone up in Massachusetts that has like a flat that probably just has students coming in from around the world globally, where he just puts them up and like has them work for him. I bet you could call him. And I was like, yeah, I bet I could. And then he's like, hey Matt, how you doing? I'm at the airport. What do you have to like? I liked your message. What do you want to do? And I was like, cool, great. This guy's like completely eccentric, and I love him to pieces. So became another dad to me. But so he just let me stay and work for him, like a couple hours a day in the morning. He teaches like a hybrid electric car school in Massachusetts, right?
Wow.
He's a really cool dude. And so I stayed there and just wrote for 4 months solid. Have a crazy first draft of a sci-fi novel now,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to finish it in the summer when I got back, but then like I throw a big festival every fall, and then so I took a month off, and that was like, it's so hard to like, it was such a complicated book.
Yeah.
And it was going in so many directions.
Yeah.
And I was
got lost.
Yeah, because I was taking the one spot and I was putting it in the beginning, and then I was like, okay, and then this changes this, and then like you have a whole universe, and it's hard enough to read a whole book, let alone to like know. Like I didn't even remember what happened in the whole second part of the book. I'm just like, I was like, I know all of this section, but this is a whole universe in and of itself, and then you're like,
you need another 4 months to like. To just finish it.
I'm like, that's a movie where the author goes and
just goes
gets a cottage somewhere.
I definitely
and
went insane a little bit at one point.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, in hindsight, like I'm glad I went through it.
Yeah.
It was like the winter of 19, and then so it got me prepared to isolate the next year.
Wow.
Right? I was preparing and didn't know it.
Yeah.
Where in Massachusetts was it? Like near Boston?
Worcester.
Oh, okay, near Boston.
Yeah. It was about an hour from Boston. I actually recorded an album in Boston during that time period too.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I just kind of like wrote enough songs while I was there too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
and then like I knew a guy from I had been to Boston previously, played an open mic, and met a few people randomly that time, and then made friends with them and kept in contact. And then they were like, "Hey, you need to check out this guy's recording studio." And then so when I came back that time, I got hold of him, and it was like this gigantic Masonic hall, you know? It was just super echo and like all this, and I just recorded it straight up, just acoustic guitar and vocals for a whole album, you know?
Wow.
Cool.
Just did it one shot, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but it was fun. I don't know. Some interesting songs came out, I guess, you know.
Well, after you went insane.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely. They would definitely would.
On a couple of levels, right?
Yeah. It's,
I'm not going to go into it all. But
you should definitely finish that book, though.
Yeah, I know. I
Have
finally...
someone else read it to you and tell you what happens.
Yeah. I have my buddies reading it out in Kent right now. Like, he finally persuaded me to read it, because I don't remember anything about it now. But, like, he's just like, I want to read that book, because I was on the phone with you, and you sounded insane. And, like, and then he's reading it now, and he's just like, man, some of the things that I say are in this book. Like, every other line is something that I would say. And I was like, yeah, because I was talking to you every day.
Oh, my God. You know? You're in this book.
He's a great storyteller, and we talk pretty frequently anyway.
Yeah.
We both had, like, the first day I met him, I played a show with his band, you know? And he was on my record label, like, 3 or 4 years before that, and I didn't know who he was, never met him, you know? But I was like, I knew the Coffin Riders, and I was like, hey, I want to be on a bill with the Coffin Riders. I know about that band, you know? And so after the show, he's like, you guys are insane. Like, you're the only other riff-based rock band in this town. Yeah. And I was like, I don't even know what that means, but that sounds awesome, you know? But that was like, I don't know, 13 years ago now.
Wow.
You know? So he his whole mindset kind of sunk into my brain. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Which is cool, because like has a very no bullshit, not perfectionistic attitude about art, and like you just get stuff done, you know. However way it's gonna come out, it comes out, and then you move on, you know. And that's like, I was way too perfectionistic before I met him in a lot of ways. But that's how it's weird, because that whole band was very intricate in so many ways, where I listen to them now and some of the songs don't make sense to me. I'm just like, that song, like this whole part doesn't even belong in the song. Why are we even doing it, you know? Like,
it's where you were then, though.
It was,
you know.
And I asked my drummer about it, like, because I redid that song and made sense to me now, you know. He's like, yeah, I like that song though, I thought that was cool because it was weird. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, lots of things in the world.
Yeah, lots of things. For sure.
But yeah, I don't know. That's so this is my podcast, right?
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Welcome to it. Right?
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah. I have a great time doing it.
Yeah. I can see that. Things. Yeah. Especially talking to people, you know, I don't know, like-minded people, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
Seems like a lot of the people that you speak with on your podcast are like-minded.
Yeah.
Have you done someone who's not?
Well, so
because it would be challenging but interesting.
Yeah,
definitely, I know. And
there's plenty around here.
Yeah, there is. I need to find some more. I have it out with my cousin every once in a while. He's a lawyer down in Galleon.
Yeah, you were telling us about it.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. And like we butt heads on a lot of things.
But like in a good way.
It's just debate. It's just straight up like, how can I move the goalpost, or like go in a direction that takes him with me. It's like completely just like it's like calculus for politics or something.
Right.
Like,
do you ever find like your mind being changed by something he's told you?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So like, because we were talking, I mean, we went way in depth about history and anthropology and history of cultures and things, and we're like, he's like, what's the definition of culture? You know, and I'm just like, I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm just going to say that it's the way people normally do things. He's just like, okay, I think it's survival. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then you know, there was that, and then we got into private property and
wow.
Right. I mean, we were like baseline stuff, you know, all the way across, and he's just like, I think private property exists even on an animal instinctual level, just because dogs will piss on an area and they'll say, that's mine, you know? And it's like, okay, I get that. That's a really visceral argument for, you know, And then so somehow I got around that. He almost stumped me there, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I took it to a whole different place, and I was like, what if, So me and him have had it out numerous times over the last few years. And we sat down in chairs just like this the one day, and just like in the garage, and just like, I'm like, I've been doing this. He's like, you're doing a podcast? Cool. And then we sat down and like basically did a podcast, but he doesn't want it to be recorded. He's not on social media at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nothing like that.
That's too bad, because it was probably very interesting.
Oh, it is. For
well,
sure.
We need more conversations like that don't end up with someone like just basically saying fuck you and walking away.
Right, because we don't want to do that. Yeah.
And it's also hard, and I've seen it done wrong too, like where people like if Rogan has someone on who is very like just paid for by oil companies to say shit, and they sound super smart, and Rogan doesn't have the ability to go against what they're saying or to articulate why he's wrong. He's just like, well, he has a different point of view, so I want to hear what he has to say. It's like, there's that point of it, but if you don't have the ability to meet him where he's at, then it's just him spewing all this like propaganda, and you don't have any control over it. And so that's happens a lot on podcasts.
He's only so smart.
Exactly. Like he's the everyman, and that's why people watch him. Like I get that, but
but when it comes to things that matter, are you able to fight?
Exactly.
Are you able necessarily fight? Are you able to? I don't know.
Articulate what you're trying to say, or at least try. Like sometimes he's decent at things, and he tries not to be political, but everything is political at some point, in because it's like, we're doing this, but there's also other people around.
Right.
So then it becomes political. So.
That's where that Countdown book, was it Countdown? Came from, is an interview that he did with that lady.
Yeah, Shoshana. I don't know.
I can't think of what her name is, but
Okay. That's the book we're talking about, like the sperm counts and like all of the, the microplastics and the immune system and, everything that it's doing there. And it's just,
Yeah, that's rough.
Oh my gosh.
How long we've been going?
What time is it?
It's 8:41.
Are you kidding me?
I miss bedtime.
Are you kidding me? I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
We started at 5:30, didn't we?
No,
it was a little after.
It was probably like 6.
6-ish. Yeah.
Wow.
So about 2.5 hours.
So don't use all that.
Okay. You're more than welcome to jump in on the editing process. I'll send a video.
How long do you do that?
I usually don't edit like anything. Mostly, like I usually don't even watch it. So
not long.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, here's the video, here's the audio, and then here's the theme song and the symbol that I have, and then color gradients, and it's good. All right, cool.
Every listen.
And then you just take pictures of where we all look, where we didn't all look bad, and then I put those on, Insta.
Oh, good.
There you go. Yeah. I was gonna say we should take a picture of even just the empty chairs and be like, look what we were up to today.
That'd be a good post.
It would be.
Yeah, good
so
call.
Before we leave, we need to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool, because there's about 1 million pictures of us being in the chairs. None of us.
Yes.
We could just stand up and walk over there, and I'll just send you a picture.
We could do that.
I can't believe we've been talking for this long. Honestly,
that always happens. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Darn it.
I've the longest I ever went. You want to hang it up? Just call it right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
cool.
do that.
See you later, everybody. Good times. Yeah.